beginning of the ServerSmash.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Match start. Go, go, go.
We're live now for ServerSmash 44. Can you believe they're that far in? Connery versus Cobalt, and already just a wave of scythes coming out from the beginning from Connery. I assume that's the same with the number of Reavers for Cobalt?
Looks to be a lot of Reavers at the moment, all heading, well, seemingly towards the direction of Isa.
Interesting. Yeah, we do see that. I'm going to watch Pale Canyon here briefly at the start. The heavy scythe force bypassing Pale Canyon. Curious to see where they're going to go with this. It looks like they're going Tech Plant 0. Now, the astute people will have possibly seen the earlier game today and perhaps decided, okay, so big Reaver force from Cobalt dropping on Pale Canyon. We'll have a look at the map in a moment to see what kind of population numbers we can expect.
The air battle going on over Cerro at the moment. Got a lot of Reavers. Looks like Scythes might be coming out with reinforcements and winning this out. Cobalt here has the population advantage at Cerro.
And the capture point at Pale Canyon Chemical is being contested going back and forth. I think the Vanu Sovereignty's got the north building. Perhaps the New Conglomerate has the south building. Does look like, yeah, that definitely is the case. It's a building standoff, block wars. It's the way I like it. But it looks like the New Conglomerate, they've got maxes down on the capture point. They're beginning to take it back. Oh, and a nice galaxy drop of additional squad of New Conglomerate on the roof of the Vanu Sovereignty on the northern building at Pale Canyon. And maxes are here to say hello.
Looks like, oddly enough, that there isn't really a lot of forces at Isa Tech Plant for Connery.
Alright, well, we're going to have a quick look at the map. Oh, Jesus Christ. Go down to Redland and talk about Pale Canyon. Talk about the base not being able to flip.
Got it.
So what's happened, guys, is that Pale Canyon isn't flipping because admin commands can prevent certain bases from flipping. And case in point, Pale Canyon wasn't properly set up after the previous game. Derp. So we can see that the Vanu Sovereignty are doing an interdiction at Anvari Barracks while this has all been dealt with. Did you talk to him, Pizza? Get it done?
Yep, everything's should be in motion.
Good, because the cap point on Pale Canyon is there, and that is screwing them over in terms of the biolab. So there's a Vanu interdiction currently going on at Anvari Barracks. It looks like the Vanu Sovereignty's got them at Anvari Southern Bank just fine. They've got an interdiction going on at Nop Substation, and they're getting a cap at Not Research Camp. So it looks like that Connery has got a double interdiction going on the east and western lanes, and it's working in their favour. Now this is interesting. The tech plant, what's going on over here? Is this another base that's been not properly set up?
At the moment.
No, it's ticking down, thank goodness. Right, phew. That's ticking down, and now Pale Canyon's probably ticking down. Okay, crisis over. It's absolutely crucial in the first 30 seconds that everything goes the way teams want them to. We see now that Cobalt has managed to get the capture going on Anvari Barracks. They've managed to, they haven't got the capture going yet at Nop Substation. I'm going to stay at Pale Canyon because this is the critical kind of crunch base at the beginning that I feel.
At the moment, the pulp seems to have equalised at Cerro. Both sides realise the importance here, but
Cerro's a long base capture, though. I would say that one capture point at Cerro is more than enough just to stall out, to allow the other quicker capture bases to play out. The Vanu Sovereignty of Connery, they've got a spawn sunder in the south. I'm trying to see what the spawn options for the New Conglomerate are. Bingo. Wow, Galaxy, check the anti-air Galaxy setup. And twin repairs on the cliffs. They've got, yeah, the spawn sunders to the north, and the New Conglomerate have got spawn galaxies, or just anti-air galaxies, forming an anti-air nest above on the high ground on the north side of Pale Canyon. And it means they've got the advantage when it comes to holding down Pale Canyon. In terms of population numbers, it is 54 to 46, so the Vanu Sovereignty of Connery are slightly outpopped. And we can see that the Vanu is actually already in Vari Biolab. And I'll tell you what, that's going to be super close. And Vari Biolab, 2.5 minutes until Barracks goes through, they might just get the Biolab before the New Conglomerate from Cobalt can actually get down into the Biolab and prevent it.
I'm checking not sub at the moment because it looks like Connery is winning the opening at least with interdiction, but there may be an issue with the cap point over here. I'm just keeping a look at it. Just,
Which capture point?
Not
Substation?
substation, yeah.
Yeah, alright. Go talk to the ref and have a look at it. No, it's turn. It's TR at the moment. The cap point hasn't flipped. Oh, but they're on the capture point. The capture point. Can they, what the hell?
Not sub has a similar problem.
This is Redland on all call. Please stop the match. We are stopping the match.
Oh my god.
We are going to restart. The bases could not be flipped off of the beginning. Return to your warp gates.
Holy crap.
Receive an all call from me to restart the match. Everyone, please stop fighting. Return to your warp gates.
Oh wow.
First time that's ever happened.
This is the first time this has ever happened, and I can only apologize to the viewers and the players right now. This is purely on PlanetSide Battles. This is our fault because we have control over the map and doing. And we had recently we got an extra commands that allowed us to prevent base captures and freezing the map. Now, with the server smash that happened on earlier today, the map was frozen. Unfortunately, we didn't have the admins on time, and we didn't have the admins available. There's about 5 or 6 admins that know how to use the freezing commands, but none of them were on here today, and I can only apologise about this setup. And this is extremely frustrating for Cobalt and Connery, the players, because the opening plans... Oh my god, mass genocide. Jesus, oh my... This is extremely unprofessional.
We will resume in approximately 10 minutes. This will not be a definite time, it's up to the referee on this time.
Wow, okay, so yeah, chat's gonna go crazy, guys. As I was saying, it is what it is. We need to get the map set up. Basically, there were problems with Pale Canyon going through, there were problems with not Research Camp going through, not Substation going through, the cap timers were not set up, and the referee decided to restart the match. It's extremely frustrating for the teams because of the fact that your opening play has been shown out, you've been shown what to do, so we're going to be on a 10-minute hiatus, and then we'll get back into this game again. I'm sure Maelstrom will reset the stats, and hopefully we'll get this going. I mean, this is really embarrassing, so I'm sorry guys, but we got a good game for you today. It looks like both teams are raring to go to absolutely smash each other in. We'll get the admins to set the map up, and guys, back to their warp gates, get all set up again. Wow. That drama llama. Where's Emerald when you need it, pizza?
Probably in the chat, trying to add to that drama.
Actually, they are not.
Just waiting for it to happen, but hopefully at least this will get the servers a little bit more, well, let's say...
the warp gates aren't properly set up at the moment, so this is a lot of work.
We're resetting y'all now, so that it'll be just a moment. We're reflipping the map and everything.
Yep, there you go. There you have it, guys. So, that was some of the admin people. Somebody's getting fired! Chat's 2 minutes behind, unfortunately, so we knew this was going to happen, so we were just expecting a reaction as it's coming through now. Yeah, well, speak to me, Pizza. How's your day been?
I was doing alright. It was going pretty well. I've been interpreting all day, so, yeah. Hopefully at least we'll get this map back in order and everything back on track. It's probably better, honestly, to do a reset than continue on with sides at disadvantages and, well, bases unable to be flipped.
Well, I guess while we're waiting for things to happen and the opener being blown and everyone know what's going on, we can talk about some things that are coming up. Lane Smash has been happening. That was actually fun. We had our first Lane Smash going on. What else? Yeah, we for the following games after this, we are in talks with Briggs to see their situation with the ServerSmash. There may be a redoing of the schedule. That's all up for debate. There's practice games that are potentially coming up in July. Every server is going to have the option to do an internal scrim. So, you know, Miller versus Miller, Emerald versus Emerald, that type of stuff. And I believe that's coming around July 17th, 18th. So they'll be happening and getting set up. And if it's real, those are scheduled and the accounts are free and the server time is available. It's up to the servers whether or not they wish to accept it, and then the accounts will be done for them, and then they'll be handed out, and then they can play. And then there'll be some admin support, presumably better than today's support, but you know, who knows. I'm just a caster, guys. I'm in the same boat with you guys. So our very dedicated admins, Maelstrom, Redland, Mike, they're all hands on board, and they're now getting the map set up, and I think they're just going to do it manually and make everything's good to go. So yeah, opening tactics, Pizza. What can we say there? Was Cobalt, or Cobalt was definitely playing for Pale Canyon there big time. That definitely showed their hand. Connery's got another chance at Pale Canyon because I feel as if they were losing that base. We saw a 50-50 fight going at Zero. We saw beautiful interdiction by Connery, which is extremely frustrating because now Cobalt knows, oh, hang on a minute, guys, they're going to our sub points and they're taking it. I mean, Connery almost got the biolab. Did you see? It's like they were almost there, and they had a good couple of minute head start or not. But to be honest, the not amp head station head start could have been something to do with the fact that not substation couldn't actually be flipped, and the referees had to call it. So to be seen how that goes off. Tech plant wasn't that heavy. Did you see anything going on at tech plant at all?
It started off really, really slow and then went really heavily in Cobalt's favor, at least, because they really dumped a lot of pop there and seemed like they wanted it. But it's a very long cap timer, and it's like you said with Zero, it's going to be something where it remains to be seen if they're really going to commit heavily to that. Massive pop sync.
Yeah, alright, that looks like we're beginning to see chat. Okay, chat, you're 2 minutes behind. Hashtag blame Farah. You know what? It's my fault. I deliberately did this. That was my plan from the beginning of today. Not only did I want to beat Briggs today, because if you weren't aware, I was the Force Commander for Miller, I both intentionally wanted to screw over Cobalt and Connery. It's my master plan, Illuminati. You caught me red-handed. What can I say? Pizza was in it with the whole time. It was his idea, actually, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, sure, throw me under the bus. I want to be under the sunny.
Right, well, okay, double warp gates. Wow, this is fun. We get to watch the map flipping. You ever noticed that devs sometimes come in and play without asking?
Half past the hour. Half past
Heard a couple
the hour.
stories at least and rumors, and of course you always get the feeling like you're being watched at times whenever you're ghost camping and the server hasn't responded.
I read on Reddit, right, that Burns, you know, the Higbee's replacement lead dev, he actually came up on a ServerSmash. He was seeing this on Reddit. He actually came into ServerSmash to see what's going on and was playing a character, but he was on his own named character. It was called Burns and whatnot. And the fun police was on him like that, immediately, like just on him. And there's like, "Who are you? What can you do? Are you Burns?" And it's like, "I'm Burns, the dev." And he's like, "Sure you are. Get out of the map. Leave." So it was like, wow, fun police, way to go. I like that there. I wonder if other devs can turn up. Oh, do you remember in the previous ServerSmash, Higbee turned up and he was playing for Connery, right? And he gave everyone freaking cowboy hats. Do you remember that?
During the world record match.
He played in the world record match, and he played on the three-way game. Yeah, last December he played for NC during the three-way game, and I think that's when he basically at the warp gate on Austin just handed out cowboy hats. So everyone went up to him and said, "You get a cowboy hat, and you get a cowboy hat." So literally in ServerSmash there's a whole block of NC accounts full of cowboy hats, because on that day Higbee gave it to everybody. Which is due to the nature of Jaeger, they can't change it like it used to be on PTS when we played, because on PTS the different client, different setup, so you could buy cosmetics for one cert, whereas because Jaeger's part of the live client, they can't do that. But a dev can assign and hand out stuff, so that was kind of cool. I really like that, and some people, believe it or not, I mean, you know this, Pizza, they actually spend money on ServerSmashes, cosmetics, stuff like that, decals. You ever been aware of that?
I've had a lot of Emerald outfits who have gone through at least, and somewhat foolishly, I would say, have spent maybe about $20 or $50 even on just camouflage, horns, whatever. No idea why, but they do it.
I remember the Americans, they bought the US flag and applied it as like kind of an outfit tag and all that kind of stuff, and some people bought Flash on their Liberators and all that kind of stuff. So I tell you what, when we used to do Server-Smashes on the PTS, that was shiny. Because everyone had the Lumer fiber and the colors, and it was kind of like, ooh, this is amazing. But yeah, I guess it's kind of more purist on Jaeger. You've got your faction colors, and that's it. And you've got the what's that horrendous camel called? Everyone gets, except for me. No, everyone gets except for me when you do fill in that stupid questionnaire at the beginning. Sales camel. Yeah, I remember what it was, sales camel. So you get sales camel, which I guess is fine, you know. To be honest, people would like better cosmetics, but maybe that's something we can ask the devs for, some sort of system where these accounts can maybe get access to stuff. Or I tell you what, no, that wouldn't work with the accounting, because if you think about it, I was going to say they could just dump station cash or DBG cash or whatever it is they call it these days onto these ServerSmash Jaeger accounts, but that causes absolute havoc with the accounting department, because they freak out because they're losing money, apparently. I don't know if you're aware of this, I think we asked them once, so it's like, no, not going to happen, no. I'll tell you what, guys, hold on, I'm going to put up a clock countdown just for the beginning of the game again, because it might not be clear, and we'll refresh the page.
Mm-hmm. get everything reset at least so that we start off the match.
Oh, okay then. That's what happens when I refresh the page.
I guess a crash?
it's just we've got some Maelstrom! Maelstrom! We'll turn that off for the time being. Let's get this countdown properly done now though.
Hopefully, at least we're trying to iron these issues out during the friendly matches. This will be something that'll happen in the tournament because this is actually the first time we've had a major incident in once.
This ties in from. Hold on, I'm just gonna move this clock because it's overlaying. Here we go, guys. We're just about 14 and a half minutes until we start. So basically, what's happening is that we have a number of admins and we're short-staffed quite frequently. So we've brought in more admins on board. Case in point, we have Pizza with us today. And, where's my TeamSpeak? Hold on. There you go. So, it's our fault. We need to sign rosters. Basically, Poonanners, Farah, message me on Steam and I'll walk you through how to list the other characters on the server. Dude, don't talk to... I'm busy, Poonanners. No. Go bug one of the other people in chat. Anyway, right, regardless, as I was saying, Pizza. This is the thing for us to deal with, so we would have to have a schedule system. So like on this game and in the tournament, we'd have preset games at preset times and all that kind of stuff. So you're the ref for this game and you're the caster for this game, and so we've all got it scheduled out. So there's kind of designated responsibilities. So at the moment, it's really just you basically turn up and you do an admin role if you happen to be there, which is not great, I suppose. And everyone who has a life is out living that life. Some people are on holiday, some people are doing other stuff. So it's kind of like derp. You know, and to have like nearly 500 people fighting and then less than 4 people or 5 people actually adminning the whole thing, yeah, we could probably get more people.
Will be the referee for the remainder of this match. I repeat, Sergeant Mel will be the referee for the remainder of the match.
Oh, I wonder what happened to Redland. Oh, there we go. We'll find out in a bit. But it looks like there's a big meeting going on. Check this out. What's going on down there? What's going down beneath us, Pizza? Are they going to have a chat with everyone? I bet it's the reps, perhaps, freaking out, telling everyone what to do.
Hoping at least that we're just getting the issues ironed out at the moment, because it seems like Redland is no longer going to be reffing, because Mile was not red for a little bit.
Please place your beacons at the warp gate. Please try and move all beacons so that way they are not on the map. I repeat, all squad leaders, please try and place beacons to remove them from the map.
Would you be so kind, Pizza, to drop down to Maelstrom in the referee channel, perhaps ask him, do if we have an ETA for the overlay, the graphics and the timer and the points and scores?
Sure.
Thank you. So, let's see if we can't find some stragglers around on this map. Are we everyone off the con? More or less. Looks like they're back to the warp gates. Yep, back to the warp gates, back to do some resetting. Fair enough. Well, guys, I don't know what to say. This has never really happened before, so we're just going to chilling, watching the map and seeing what happens here. Are they going to do the same thing again? Dunno. I suppose, maybe. I mean, like, for me, my thinking, if you want to go, because I did Force Commanding in the north, was to take Pale Canyon, then go for the Biolab, then go for Cero, and then play off secondary objectives afterwards. Tech Plant was next, Watson would have been after that, and not Amp Station, maybe flip a command group over to not Amp. Is the question for you, Pizza, while we're thinking of this, what do you think the force composition is today? Like, how do you think the teams will have set up their kind of compositions? Because, for example, today, when I was leading Miller, we had 7, combat groups, 1 air, and then 6 guys at grounds on the infantry of various size. Do you know anything about the Cobalt or Connery guys and maybe how they do their team setup?
Well, both of these teams have really gone through a lot of changes recently, so a lot of their previous models, I think, have been thrown out the window, because I know Connery used to run at least a lot of 4-squad platoons, and I think Cobalt had, well, I'm not entirely sure about, I can't speak to Cobalt, unfortunately, but both of them, at least, I think are doing some major change-ups, so I'm expecting to see a different force deployment here in this match, but honestly, as the match goes on, we'll probably see a little bit more evidence of that, because it's very hard to tell at the moment with, like, the openers and everybody in the warp gate.
And were you able to get any gleaming piece of information from Maelstrom other than go away, leave me alone, and I'm working on it?
I got the grumpy, well, not really grumpy, just sort of like, I'm very busy, and no, I can't give you an ETA at the moment. But he's working on it.
So classic Maelstrom. Could you drop down and just say, Farah says it's not good enough, Maelstrom?
Alright,
There'll be a lot of hatred. There'll be a lot of hatred, yes. Chris, you want to
For
go?
the stream, aren't you?
You're doing this for Planside Battles too. That's a little sneak preview of what happens. Okay, go ahead. He's actually doing it. Cool. Well, I guess we're roughly about 10 minutes to go, guys. We're going to start on half past the hour. It's currently 19 minutes past the hour. Maelstrom's frantically fixing the graphics and the bug settings, and the guys in the warp gate are going to get back to set up and playing. Is Steve in the staff? That's a good question, chat. I don't think... Oh, he is. He's ServerSmash staff. Well, there you go. Steve-O is indeed in the staff. Well, there you go. I'm just reading it now. No, he isn't, said Dots. Well, fair enough.
Well, for what it's worth, Farah, I think we violated no cursing agreement after I informed Maelstrom.
Okay.
To go to the VOD, you get a lot of very angry Englishmen
Cool.
yelling at Farah.
Awesome stuff then.
He's working on it though.
So, do you... Right, so question about the game there. If you come back to the game again, do you change up your opening play? I mean, everyone knows what you're doing. You've got, like, the first half hour usually locked down, and then it's kind of free-flowing and secondary objectives and contingency plans if something goes wrong, right? So, do you just rinse and repeat, just do the exact same thing again and see if you can stop us? Or does, like, for example, Connery lost out on the flanks, right? So they're going to lose out the flanks. Do they attack again? But they've got an advantage now at Pale Canyon, and they know that the new conglomerate went there for Pale Canyon. And that's the same way for Cobalt playing the NC from the north. Do they continue to attack Pale Canyon with all forces to make sure they get it so they can go in towards the biolab? Or do they know now that they're going to be interdicted and then play forces in the wings? I mean, what do you do in that situation?
Well, I think honestly the best situation for the FCs is to really change up some of the strategy, because you have a rough idea at least. The first, 15, I mean, that was maybe played for about, 5 minutes? It's going to be a really hectic situation, at least in the opener. It's tough to keep track of enemy force movements, but I think you're going to see some really big changes, at least from both teams, in terms of when the match goes live again.
9 minutes till match start. 9 minutes till match start.
Okay, so my timer's slightly off. I'm actually waiting for Mail's website to come back, so I've got an accurate timer of what's going on.
Just don't ask me to hop down there again, at least. I'm gonna have to put a rated R rating on the stream.
No, it's fine, man. I wouldn't send you down there again. But he knows what he's doing and he's busy, so that's fine. Well, I hope you got popcorn, guys, and if you haven't exploded chat or Reddit, then I don't know, feel free to do now. Tell people to come into the stream. This is probably the most drama we've had outside of a ServerSmash, inside of a ServerSmash. Well, come on. To be fair, it's 1 in 44. This is the 44th ServerSmash, and I think this is the first time we've ever had to do a restart. We've had delays, but we've never had a restart before.
This is definitely the first time this has ever happened, and I'm glad at least that it's happening in a match that's not the tournament. I apologize at least to the players from both of these servers at least, because this is usually something that doesn't happen, and I think it's really the result of just trying to go forward with 2 matches in one day, and then having issues where last minute staff drops. That really just causes problems for us. We're hoping at least to get everything back in order in about, think about now, it would be about 8 or 7 minutes. Where the match will restart.
Yeah, well, there you go. Cool. Well, to be honest, guys, I'm tapped out. I don't really have anything else to talk about because we're waiting for the game to start. I just want to see lots of pew-pewing and shooting. Did you see the Air Force battles earlier today? It was really impressive. The back and forth kind of battle of attrition that was going on between Miller and Briggs. Did you see today's earlier game today by any chance?
I sadly was out of town at least, but I just got back in, but I did hear at least, and I caught the tail end of the stream, and I got to see a little bit of what looked to be, Briggs actually put up a pretty good showing, at least, even when it seemed like Miller had air dominance, because they still would have their air at least present, but it seemed like Miller would come in, I guess, towards that part of the match that I saw, and pretty much, I guess, either the Briggs guys got pulled off, or they were shot down, but from what I heard at least, it was the first half really being heavily on Briggs with air dominance, and that really was reflected in the territory gain, and in the second half Miller got the upper hand and really used it.
Yeah, see, you say that, and I wonder if that's the case, because often we cast and we don't know the full mind of the Force Commander, but the air group was fighting and regrouping on certain areas. It was mainly around on the west side. They had to regroup. I know that at least once or twice or numerous times really throughout the game, but especially at the beginning. And then it was like a blob. Their blob would come on your blob and push you off, and then your blob would regroup and then push their blob and push them off, and it would just go back and forth. And that was with air lock-ons. And very rarely did I get to fight as a force commander. Once at Grey Herring Shipping, and it was just crazy because I was there running along, and all of a sudden all the Liberators kind of flew in swooping motions, shooting down their galaxies, and I'm like, that's pretty freaking cool, you know. And I know a couple of people are like, whoa, this is cool. Hey Maelstrom, hey buddy, how you doing?
Can you please use 215 as your IDs, please?
215 on the website?
Yeah.
Well done, dude. I assume you're aware of the clock is on 3 hours, and I'll leave that to you.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Thank you, Maelstrom.
Thanks, Maelstrom. Keep up the good work. You have a golden Reddit star. I don't have to give you, but you know what I mean.
Somebody's gonna get cursed out later.
Is he still in the room?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'll get that fixed shortly. You should see an update.
Thank you very much.
There's also something I've never seen, at least in a.
He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. We're good. We can keep talking smack about him. Jesus Christ, Maelstrom! What the hell? Not good enough.
I actually watched a Reaver. The first time I've ever seen somebody not die in a collision out of the get-go. He actually died before the match trying to escape the warp gate. So he got karma for it because he immediately smashed into a rock.
What?
Hats off to that Cobalt guy.
So he left early and crashed.
Yeah, left early, slammed into a rock, and all was done.
That's awesome. Well, I was right at the very front of the warp gate when I started in the game. I flew to Pale. I actually flew to Warson's Redemption and was a Stalker Infiltrator cloak, and I basically just sit in the point, and I'm leading as the commander, the general, whatever you want to call it, the whole Miller game, minding my own business at Warson's Redemption. Flipped a point and walked away into the middle of the walkways, and then when I come out of the map, I see that our guys have been pushed off Warson's Redemption, and I'm surrounded by like 20 Vanu guys, and none of them know I'm there. They all leave, and I take 2 steps and cap a point again before they get to Pale. It was kind of hilarious for a while until they got wise to it, and then just everyone was running around with like dark lights. Anyway,
You weren't playing against NC, otherwise the last thing you would have heard.
well, that's the thing. Last game was a non-NC game. It was Vanu and TR. I mean, what's up with that? No DAC. Well, I say there's Daka, but no like shotgun Gapui, you know.
This is coming from an NC main. I'd rather not have to play in a match that has NC, because it's either going to team kill me or it's going to kill me in less than a second. So
We should be about 3 minutes to start, so if you want to get back to your corresponding warp gate, I'll do the same. And hopefully Maelstrom's clock, because he got the hour slightly wrong, so I think he's working on that frantically to get it set up. There we go. We can see a fresh reassembly of Air Force. I can only imagine how pissed the players are. We're just going to have to go with it and see what the opening play is and if it ties up to what happened before, or whether or not a team is capable of, you know, responding and reacting to what the enemy did and redo it, you know. Don't have a clock. I'm going to rely on the referee to give me a countdown here, because stat page is still socket reconnecting.
Sergeant Mile, I'll call. Match will start in 2 minutes.
There you go. Perfect population right now. Perfect world pop. Territory control all set up. We're good to go. I assume the admins have tested all the bases and everything's good to go, but you will wait and see and find out.
thankfully, at least the one good side of this is that both servers are able to get all the folks that they need in, so we're not going to start off really with any population disparity here. Each force commander will have the full access of, well, everybody.
Oh, yeah. And for all those dirty hobos that turn up 20 seconds before the game starts, you know who you are. You cause no end of grief to the platoon leader and force commander, trying to get reserves in and then get them all set up. You got an extra half hour to set up. Isn't that great? Well,
At least as a server rep, it's not particularly fun to have to do the lovely scramble 30 seconds left before match start.
just jump into the reserve room and say, first person say me, and then gets an account, and then you just dole them out.
1 minute till match start.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm ready to go. I'm revving to see this.
I'll be the game referee, so if you'll need me, let me know.
I wonder where Redlant's gone. Redlant, the poor guy, is probably gone to lie down. Stress is going to get to him, I think.
We've got 2 Cobalt guys at the moment, one guy from Fool and one guy from BW4C that are currently hanging out just outside the warp gate.
Yes, Margin Mal?
The clocks are messed up. It will fix by the time Maelstrom's working hard at it, but match will be starting in 30 seconds.
Well, you just call it out on all call and I'll hear it and we'll watch it. And he's already left the channel, but tell Maelstrom, good
Sergeant
job.
Mal, call 20 seconds till match start. 20 seconds till match start.
Watching this BW4C guy just hang out there outside the warp gate, not sure what he's doing.
That would be an issue for the referee from Mile. If you see him jump the gun by a good number of seconds, then shoot him, slap him on the wrist, tell him to go back.
4.
Anyway, here we go.
2, 1. Match start. Match start.
So Connery does a clean start on the restart of this game, and now we'll see what's the opening play, how teams play out. Already got our first suicide, crash into the ground for Connery. How's Cobalt doing on the beginning of their match?
So far, not too many collisions, thankfully. I think they got that out with the one guy that left warp gate early.
Well, it looks like, as far as I can tell on my mini-map, same kind of starter, same kind of Connery force, racing towards an interdiction perhaps at Not Substation, and we can see that in Vari Barracks, I believe the NC's there first this time, knowing that the interdiction's happening. They've probably committed more forces. Again, Cobalt is now dropping down onto Pale Canyon Chemical. A lot of Bailers, and we can see that most of the ESFs for Connery, the Scythes, are staying in the skies rather than dropping down to the ground. They're using their Galaxies to bring their guys in instead with max forces.
It looks like there's a lot of Connery forces at the moment going to try and interdict Not Substation. And they try to do it at Anbari, it looks like, and that.
But this time round, Cobalt's got the capture point, but Connery's dropping on the northern building. They've had 30 minutes to digest the opening plays and adapt to it. It's the new meta, guys. Know what the enemy's doing and then counter it.
Well, I'm looking at the moment, I see a lot of Cobalt folks doing a pretty smart thing. They've dropped about 1224 at Isa Mountain, and they're all loading up into battle Sundays to make Cerro a very unpleasant place to live if you're VS.
See, Connery's on the northern building, and this time it's Cobalt that's on the southern building. Both teams have got maxes. The level of support is unknown, but Connery's got control of the capture point. That's the important thing at the beginning.
Aside from really Pale Canyon, it seems like the Connery strategy, at least in the east, hasn't really changed too much. They've still gotten that successful interdiction off at Not Sub.
So we're also beginning to see spawn options and spawn sunders being brought up from Matheson's Triumph for the Cobalt team. I wonder if they're going to try and do that kind of sky hold again on the upper rocks. The Twin Galaxies, bring them in. But at the moment they don't have the capture point, and the base is still ticking down in favour of Connery. It's really going back and forth, both teams using kind of squad beacons to get in. Elsewhere, and Vari Barracks this time was not interdicted, and crucially both teams will now have access to the biolab at the same time. Interestingly, Not Substation, okay, was interdicted, was being delayed, but now it is flipped. Now both teams will reach Not Amp Station before the base can be captured by another team. The tech plant is being pushed pretty hard by at least 2 squads, if not more, of Cobalt. That's a lot of people to commit to the tech plant for a whole 7 minutes.
That seems to be a thing, at least, where I think Connery is making a good play, at least if they can pull this off really well. Let Cobalt sit on these long cap timers, waste all their time there, and go for the bases that are quick caps and easy to really take, and then switch back over. If you hold one point and you extend that cap timer by sometimes at least 10 minutes.
Wow, we've got an anti-air Burster Max squad kind of flacking away from the east side of Pale Canyon Chemical. It's like 4 Burster Maxes just being a nuisance. They don't have the high ground like they had last time, flacking off the skies. And it's this time, it's Connery that's got control of Pale Canyon Chemical. But we've got a fresh number of numbers. On the minimap, I'm seeing a lot of Cobalt somewhere on the minimap. It looks like they're pushing the south building. They don't necessarily have the capture point just yet. But I can't see how Connery can hold the capture point when Cobalt wants to move up. And that is possibly it flipping now. It's really hard to say.
Watching this one heroic Reaver in a bunch of galaxies just sitting there air hammering away and rocket potting. And I think he's finally gone down. Oh, poor champ. Yeah, capture point is still not flipped over to one side, and now it's back to NC.
Okay, so at Pale Canyon Chemical, it's the new conglomerate's got control of the north. They have control of the capture point. That is Cobalt in control. The south building is control of Connery. Cobalt actually now has population at 61%. That's 96 plus enemy forces currently in Pale Canyon Chemical. The tech plant 2 squads, so some of the numbers of the tech plant has been brought out. That's still ticking down, but I imagine on the halfway marker we'll see Connery doing something about it. Cerro Listing Post is being untouched by Connery at the moment. Looks like their numbers are Biolab and Amp Station. So Connery looks like to be playing mainly on the flanks, whereas Cobalt is playing hardball in the center.
Looking at the map, I think we're going to see a really big fight going on in Envari, because there's already a Connery platoon ready to go and inside Envari, and it's just waiting for the folks coming in from the north. Really depends on if Connery can get Pale Canyon Chemical and get the Biolab. They're going to be in a pretty good position at least, because they get that free base at Frozen.
And we can see that neither team's able to push the opposing team at Pale Canyon Chemical off their north and south building. The capture point is flipping back and forth. It's now in the hands of Connery again. Population numbers, it's 57 to 43. Reinforcements perhaps for, I can see Galaxies at the very least, for Cobalt flying on the roof. And it looks like they're getting the capture point. This is much more back and forth than it was earlier today. Both teams committing really large numbers for this 4-minute base timer base. The tech plant is now down beyond the halfway marker. It's a single squad. It's entirely possible that Cobalt will get the tech plant for free. Connery is 50-50 pop at Envari Biolab. And they've got half the platoon at Not Amp Station ticking down. These are long cap time bases. They're giving away the tech plant. I'm kind of surprised at this. There's not even like a token 6 guys or 9 guys there.
Honestly, I don't think Not's as important of a base as Connery seems to think it is, because they made a really major blunder there by dedicating so many forces over there. I mean, I think just enough to try and skirmish it out and win would be plenty. Just go for the Biolab or something like stopping that Isa tech cap. You can't let that go uncontested.
It's a ruthless fight going to Pale Canyon. And let me just be clear, guys. If you lose the tech plant, it's not game over. Case in point, as we saw earlier today, you can take it back. And if you want to apply pressure elsewhere in the map and gain other important things like, say, Cerro Listing Post or a certain large outpost that's hard to take, like a Biolab, then yeah, that's totally legit. You can totally go and do that. But to have it completely unmolested, not even have 6 guys to try and draw in more enemy pop, I think that's a small mistake. I think you should always have at least some people on every lane.
Alright guys, can you just refresh his overlays? Right now.
Roger that, Maelstrom, doing that now. There we go, excellent work Maelstrom, thank you very much. Props to him, guys, for all the crap we give him. That was good enough, so well done. So now we have on stat screens, got a countdown clock, and we've got our scoreboard, guys. And surprisingly, it's 43-43, so both teams are still fairly balanced. We can see that the tech plant is now down. It's actually, the TR Fun Police is actually popping the tech plant. That's how low pop there is the tech plant. 60 seconds to go, and the fact is Cobalt is now pushing on the Biolab, so it's going to go back now. That's not going anywhere. So the thing is, I don't see Connery getting anything. Oh, right, now the pops here. Check that out. A couple of squads. So we'll try and keep watching Pale Canyon. Oh, wow. The NC's kind of brought in extra reinforcements. We're up to 64% population. And this is all coming down to, guys, I think because there's an overpop of Connery at the Not Amp Station. Now, if they get super set up, Sunders and everything, so they can't be messed with, then that's what's going to work for them. But they're losing out pop elsewhere. And look at this. They've got 1224 and Envari Frozen Reservoir. What are they doing there? Is that the Air Force?
I'd assume it'd be either their Air Force or just forces going out pulling Sundays, because, I mean, Connery, for the forces that they had in Envari, almost got it with about pretty much outnumbered 2-1. But Cobalt was on their game and pretty much realized, you know, if we lose Envari when we have the North Warp Gate, we're not getting that back.
Exactly, and we can see that there's twin ANC harassers on the capture point of the tech plant, but I think perhaps they're unmanned, or... No, one of them's manned, and that's about it. You got one brave heavy assault trying to fight. Oh, he's got his backup buddy.
Connery's a Rep Galball supporting their Air Force over in Envari Frozen and Pale, because it's really keeping a lot of the Cobalt Reavers away, but it just seems like at the moment the Air Force are standing off and wait until somebody blinks.
Cobalt's brought in extra reinforcements now for the tech plant, and this is the risk. I was saying go to the tech plant at the halfway marker, but to let it go all the way down to 1 minute, if they get pushed off, you don't have the spawn rooms, you don't have spawn options, you have to fly back in. We can see that The shields are up, so there's a lot of Connery stuck outside. With 60 seconds to go, they can't get inside. Now, you can bunny hop over this kind of wall leg section and get in, but it doesn't look like any of the Connery guys are doing. And now all the forces that dropped have to run all the way around to the double building, so the double doors at Big Gun. And it's such a huge run, and it's buying the Cobalt forces on the capture point infinite amount of time. Connery does have the balcony, they're firing down, but guys, 30 seconds! You gotta run to the point! What are you doing?
I just don't see a lot of them here. I mean, if they could get a couple good frags off and wipe these guys, they'll be okay, but I just don't see them pushing in.
It's so close though. If I was Cobalt, I'd just send lots of forces to reinforce. Alright, here comes the Connery guys, but this is gonna be a last second, and the fact is the Cobalt guys have fallen back to the staircase.
So I think they got
Oh, right, okay. But it's still so close. Cobalt, you would just regroup, regather, and dump population in again. And Pale Canyon actually has been stopped, although I think that's gonna be like the 1 second marker. I'm gonna go back there. If you want to watch the tech plant for me, I'm gonna go check out Pale Canyon.
I mean, if I'm a force commander, this is not something that I ever want to see happen. Like, a last minute resecure is wonderful, but ideally, you don't even want to let them take it
It's
down.
like,
'Cause you don't
Connery's
want
done
to-
two. They've done 2 last minute saves. They've done literally a last minute second save at Pale Canyon, and they've done a last second save at the tech plant. The capture at Not Amp Station is still going on. Same forces that are there. I'm assuming that's just a platoon group. There's some harassment going at Zero. It's a long 20-minute base capture. That could be neutral after everything else is captured. We can see that the biolab has been captured by the new conglomerate of Cobalt, and they're pushing now down to Anvari South Bank. And also, bizarrely, unlike today earlier, Anvari Frozen Reservoir is being captured from the biolab, not from Pale Canyon Chemical.
Looking at it at the moment, and I see a little bit of Cobalt Air Forces coming in over Isa, but I mean, they're probably making a smart play here, because they can just pretty much sit around for about 5 minutes and use those forces elsewhere, because they've got Anvari now, and if they get Pale Canyon Chemical, or even Anvari Frozen really, it just automatically gives them a very strong position against the Southern Warp Gate, because biolabs are a pain to take, especially on Esamir where there's limited lanes.
Got fresh infantry reinforcements now for Cobalt dropping on the northern building. Looks like they've got the northern building. The Vanu Sovereignty of Connery has the southern building. Yes, they do. On the capture point of Pale Canyon Chemical. Currently in the hands of Connery, but it is flipping in the hands of Cobalt. No, it's not. Still 2 minutes to go, though. And it's flipping back and forth. Wow, this is an intense fight going on by both teams. Neither of them wanting to give up Pale Canyon.
Looks like Connery's brought in some more reinforcements over at Knot to cap that in less than a minute, but it's gonna be really tough call to make if you're gonna let Sarah go in the same amount of time. If
you capture Knot, you can push the sub, the Grey Heron, that type of stuff. So I mean, I can sort of see that, but it's a huge amount of population not doing anything anywhere else. Do they really need that many people at Knot Amp Station? If that's their game plan, then so be it. But to give away Sarah listening post, I think is a mistake. But then again, we're not on the ground. We're not the force commanders. They just can be heavily committed elsewhere, and they just simply can't get people to where they need to be quick enough.
At the moment, it looks like Connery's going to be playing on the back foot because they lose Sarah, they lose a really good offensive platform. And as nice as that Grey Heron shipping not sub lane is, it's really exposed the air for Stillwater, Grey Heron.
Oh wow, Connery's been desperate here. They're ESF bailing partially onto Pale Canyon Chemical. It's less than 60 seconds to go. Cobalt has only 37% population. Now that is partially because the Air Force has turned out for Connery, and PPA spam is going everywhere. Now the capture point is finally falling, but they've still got some hero guys on the point. Have they got enough people to flip it? Yes they do, but 40 seconds is a huge ask. Oh, that's reinforcements incoming already now. That's going to be about a squad of reinforcements for Cobalt. They're on the capture point. Connery population, they've got 67%, but look, that's the Air Force. That's all the vehicles around the outside. It's not infantry on the point. If you're Connery, it's time to go to that capture point. If anything, Cobalt's got control of both buildings, north and south. There's res medics and zombies on the point. I think Cobalt's going to finally lock this down. Oh wait, no, never mind, it's flipping on the 6 second. Oh wait, no, it's not flipping on the 6 second marker. Still ticking down. Got some hero heavy assaults from Connery right outside the point. Res grenades going on all sides. All people are on the capture point. You're hearing that in proximity chat. The Americans from Connery, they want this point, and they have the point finally. Wow, 10 seconds. Motivation is real. And all of Cobalt is pushed off.
Managed to rank up the observer cam courtesy of Viper is capturing Sarah listening, and Vari Frozen goes uncontested because
And Vari South Bank is a horrendous base to try and defend due to the nature of the spawn room and the capture point. So a good strong force of NC would keep any Connery VS forces off. The real question is, can they push Jaeger's Fist? The Connery force, yes, are slightly behind on points, and this is turning into kind of a repeat on the Western Lane as it was early this morning with the Briggs-Miller game, but now it's ruthless at Pale Canyon. What does the new conglomerate do? Do they come back to this base? It's still neutral, guys.
I'm just looking at odds at the moment. If that goes in 2 minutes, Connery is going to be in a very tough spot to try and come back from.
Well, the lane's living contested. Actually, it's a counter-attack. Very impressive to see at Anvari South Bank by the Vanu Sovereignty of Connery. Let's go check that out very, very briefly. Can you watch Pale Canyon for me and just kind of see that? Because that's a brutal fight going on. We don't want to miss the end of that.
I'll keep an eye out. At the moment, the cap point is under VS control and they're ticking it down, and just a little bit of Connery air elements. Well, actually, Cobalt air elements hanging around. Not really too much in terms of players on the ground.
New Conglomerate's got themselves not a spawn sunder, but just a battle sunder, Twin Furies, outside the capture point at South Bank. Doesn't look like there's a spawn option for the Connery forces, so it's really just infantry that's on the point. And it looks like they're slowly going to get pushed off. Yeah, Maxes and infantry.
There's some folks at least from Max and I guess LK is the tag, not familiar with them, trying to at least turn this thing around. They've got 50-50 pop now, but I think a lot of that's going to be their air forces. I see a lot of Sundays coming in, so they might be able to turn this Pale Canyon cap around.
We're watching currently just south of Pale Canyon Chemical. There's 5 or 6 galaxies just forming a sort of repair blockade. The high air is controlled by long-range fire from Cobalt. Connery's using their battle galaxies in a sort of air fortress near the ground, all providing proximity repair and just flacking away, keeping at maximum range distance. However, it's Cobalt that has the air control currently over Pale Canyon Chemical. I mean, you can also see battle cinders coming to try and get rid of the spawn options for Connery. Connery infantry coming out to make the stop. Lovely use of kind of AV mines preventing any kind of back attack. And the capture point is still in the hands, although there's a galaxy drop by Cobalt on the point itself when it was about 1 minute 20 seconds to go.
One heroic Connery player, I think, stole the cap and brought about a squad's worth of maxes to make him pay, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It looks like Cobalt's going to get Eyes of Tech.
Looks like Cobalt, because of Sarah Listening Post, is also going to get Ice Mounting Pass for free with no contention going on there. Cobalt's also applying pressure at Echo Valley Substation. The attack that was happening by Connery at Not Substation has been stopped. And if we're going to warp over there now very quickly, the tech plant looks like it's finally going to go now for Cobalt. I don't really see anything that Connery can do. No, there's far too much Cobalt NC forces. They've got way more control than they did last time. So the tech plant is going to be taken by Cobalt. And bonus points, the first guy can spot a Vanguard.
I don't think you'll see too many of these, but if you see them, let me know.
Now this isn't game over, guys. It's just the opening play for the tech plant. The tech plant can be counter-captured, but Cobalt is now beginning to set the kind of the standard of the game. 18 minutes in, and they're already 51 to 43 up. They got a cap going at ISA Southern Camp, and mainly is we can see a lot of Connery infantry and air force and forces at the tech plant, but they've been kind of capped from behind at the Southern Camp. Looks like they're making a save at Echo Valley Substation. And Pale Canyon Chemical, 17 seconds to go. Is this it? Is Connery going to capture this base?
See a lot of it.
Oh no, the point is flipping again. Cobalt is counter-pushing on the point. This is ruthless stuff. Have you ever seen a 4-point base go for so long?
See some fresh reinforcements coming in from Connery, but it doesn't look like they're coordinating. I don't know if this will be enough. Got a Cobalt battle.
They've got air control
driving around inside, so it's gonna be a pain for them.
So Cobalt has now established himself on the capture point, and they have what it looks like air control. The Reavers are over the skies, at least temporarily, on this base. They got a battle sunder. Can't really giving any spawn options, but it can be a nuisance to any kind of Vanu sovereignty forces from Connery coming in. In terms of spawn options, Spawn Sunders for Connery are dead, so for right now, Connery has been pushed off Pale Canyon. They don't have a hard spawn that we can see.
Liza Mountain's gonna go for free. And
there's nothing they can do about it.
And the same thing with Liza Southern. It's gonna be a tough play, at least in the center and in the east on the back foot.
Heavy pressure pushing at the tech plant, you're right. Where's the population numbers here? So we can see that Anvari South Bank, Connery has population advantage by some margin, capturing Anvari South Bank completely unopposed. It's 61% in favour of Cobalt. Where's Connery going to get the reinforcements? If you look at the warp gate, they've actually got 2448. I presume that's the Pale Canyon force going to come back in. In fact, is that Galaxy's coming in now? Yeah, it is. It's Galaxy's flying over. Perhaps, I'm not sure who it is, but I don't even know if they're dropping that many people, to be honest. The roofs and the buildings are locked down by Cobalt. Cobalt's got a pretty strong control over Pale Canyon Chemical. It's to be seen what Connery can do. Southern Camp, you're right. There's a population force of Cobalt, completely uncontested. And look at not Amp Station. All that population at the beginning that went for the Amp Station, and now they're losing the Amp Station at 50-50 populations.
If you're gonna make that big of a committal for that kind of base where you only have one lane, you better push that lane, and it looks like Connery did not do it. They did not get there fast enough. I don't know what happened. Looking at Pale Canyon, I mean, the fact that they went back to the warp gate to pull is not particularly great because it just delays their reaction on it. They've got less time and less of a window really to win that skirmish that gets them the point back. But as I say that, this might be enough, but I don't know. It's not looking really
They're running into rocket pods and air hammers, jumping into infantry. It's a lot of EM6s and just Gauss being taking them out from the other hills. That was a somewhat coordinated Galaxy drop, but it dropped into a horrendous teeth of new conglomerate arms.
Rise to the moment you can prevail.
60 seconds to go. Another Galaxy's turning up. It's getting shot down. The fact is, air reinforcements for Connery has to fly through the gauntlet of new conglomerate air force at the moment. I think they've got a spawn sunder set up, or is that just in the garage? But it's been rocketed from distance at an angle. Oh, it's been rocketed through the garage and it's been attacked by the Fury Sunder that's inside the walls out of this Pale Canyon. Oh, this is big. There's a lot of Maxes being pulled now for Connery. They're trying to do a Max crash through horrendous air pummeling by Cobalt to get to the capture point. That Battle Sunder from Cobalt, two of them are actually still there. Trickling forces now from Cobalt for Connery trying to push to the capture point. But the fact is, the Connery forces know where they're coming from, and it's only really the Maxes that are making any of that distance. Oh, it's a beautiful C4, yeah.
It's just not enough, too little, too
It's a
late.
big resource push to try and take this base, and you're right, there we go. So now, the lanes have actually condensed. Looks like the Connery force have made a save at Ice Southern Camp, so we still actually have a good number of lanes. We have the lane to the far west, Anvari Biolab lane, still going on at the Anvari South Bank. We have the second lane at Pale Canyon, third lane at Ice Southern Camp, fourth lane at Veco Valley Substation, and the fifth lane at Amp Station, which we're going to go to next. Now, the new conglomerate, they've got Pale Canyon. That's great for them. They need to kind of repulse the forces that are kind of being attacked. If I was them, I'd perhaps redouble my efforts for ISO Southern Camp, make a force cap there, and then apply all the forces I've got, perhaps for Waterson's Redemption, or do super population dunk at Echo Valley, provided you could save Sarah Listening Post.
Looking at not at the moment, and I mean, you go through all these blood, sweat, and tears, lose the opener really for not Amp Station, and now you just. It seems like they're letting it go. They're not really making a coordinated push to get back in there.
But it depends how they're doing their force organization. If it's just one platoon, and we can see the SU's actually being charged here as well. If it's just one force and one team, and you're not really moving the platoons around, or you're not having kind of reinforcements or support, then it can get tricky if like a platoon is outclassed. And then you have to think, well, who do I send? Do I replace them? Well, everyone's fighting in the line. Who do I swap? Where do I send them? Do I have a QRF force, like a quick reaction force, or do I have like a squad or two that I can reinforce and bolster? But you're right, this is a long base capture going down. The SCU is going to, I think reinforcements are coming from the backside. The SCU will be killed, but the infantry forces for Connery turn up at the SCU. But oh, Cobalt's brought in a Max, and I don't see any Maxes for Connery.
It's going to be a really, really bad thing if the forces here don't shape up and organize, but I just don't see that happening at the moment.
With the SCU down, Connery does have a spawn sunder set up in the walls, and it is allowing them to get in. In a minute and 50 seconds, do they have population? Yes, they have 54% population, and they still have a spawn option. Vanguard! I saw Vanguard at the amp station.
That's cheating.
I saw Vanguard first, I know what you're talking about. But they do have kind of vehicles, and that Vanguard can't get outside the shields. He's stuck on the inside.
I don't know why he pulled an AP loadout, honestly, because he's looking for Sundays that are not there.
What I don't get is the Connery forces. Alright, so they've got the external shields, but if anything, that works in the favour of the Cobalt, because they can still get in via the rear SCU, assuming Connery wasn't pushing all their forces in there. Connery's trying to push through a narrow choke point to get the SCU repaired. What? You've got spawn options. Alright, now they're pushing in Sundra into the V-Bay, is it? Or no, they're on the Sundra Jesus spot, that's outside. So the capture point is still unmolested with 60 seconds to go, and it looks like most of Connery forces are applying pressure on the SU, which for the time being Cobalt is repulsing and holding off.
I mean, honestly, just GSD in there and try and clean it up with Fury Sundays. You're not going to do a lot pushing through one choke point here. I mean, I almost had to...
This new conglomerate Max is getting knifed by the Vanu Sovereignty. Finally he goes down, taking so much blood. I mean, this is the thing. They've just repaired the generator, right? But spawning at the SU takes too long to run to the building. So if they don't get the base in 30 seconds, Cobalt's going to say, gee guys, thanks for capturing our capture point, or repairing our SU generator. But no, big counter push. They take it. But it's 2-to-1 numbers.
It's not worth it, honestly, because then they're losing somewhere else on another lane. Isa Southern's no longer stable, Waterston's Redemption's being ticked down, and Very South at number 2-to-1 and going down for Cobalt.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking here at objectively throughout the map. Saving not amp station, you gotta do it, you gotta have forces. Those 50-50 numbers, I've got to sit here, make sure you're 50-50, make sure you're not overpopped, because they are overpopped, and just run out the base and get it fully saved and reapply pressure if you can at not substation. It's a big open exposed capture point. It's maybe tricky to take, but that's what they got to try and do. Having forces and fighting at Sierra Listing Post is great, and that holds down that lane. However, there is an active fight going at Waterston's Redemption, and it's 2 minutes 30 until it's captured by the new conglomerate. That would cut off ISA Southern Camp, which is very small numbers at the moment going on. And you're right, looks like Anvari Southernback was recaptured by the Connery, and looks like that Cobalt is now retaking it again. Due to the nature of the capture point, it is a base that can go back and forth quite quickly.
Oh, and Cobalt's got a Sunday deployed right next to the point too, so it's not looking good for Connery here. The one thing about these spawn changes is it is very hard to get back on the a good foot here. Because you really have to coordinate on your offenses, and it does.
Cobalt
happening for Connery.
are going to go do something. They're applying a lot of pressure. They are bypassing ISA Southern Camp because the tech plant's safe, and even if the tech plant was being captured, it's not important because the tech plant takes too long. So they're applying a lot of pressure now at Waterston's Redemption, and with less than 90 seconds to go roughly by the time people come in, their air force is here, and their air force is here in galore. There's a lot of Reavers, all with air hammers, rocket pods, making it very, very hard for any infantry to spawn in and then get out of the actual spawn room itself. And the fact is, the Cobalt forces are camping the spawn rooms. They have the freedom of movement to actually camp the spawn rooms because they're not being molested by air force. And they got 2-to-1 numbers. This is brutal because it's 50-50 at no amp. It's where the forces of 24-48. This is painful for Connery. Connery's having to go back to the warp gate too many times.
All those forces out of position there. I mean, a lot of the pop out in Very South Bank was air, and I did see at least some good play from their air commander. But I mean, I don't know what the FC is saying, but that FC needs to be saying that those air forces need to be moving to Octagon, because they need to break this air hold here, otherwise they're not getting out of those spawn rooms.
One thing is, I think they've realised that, and the force is coming in from Frostbite Harbour, so I think if I look down in that direction, we might see some air reinforcements, maybe some galaxies. I think the Liberators are seeing what's going on. It's going to be so last moment, though, if they actually come here. And we can see the Cobalt is actually bringing more air, the galaxies are overhead. Where's that population? It's Bridgeport, perhaps? Here it comes the galaxies, here they come, 2-3, Anna, Valkyrie, dropping on the Charlie point. Wow, the amount of firepower that's on the line, and they've just been dropped on right behind. Here comes Connery. Is this enough? 14 seconds to go. They need to get on the capture point. So much Cobalt on the outside. I don't know if Connery is able to get enough people on this base.
Yes. Slow, I think. I mean, they're all focusing on the C point too, and they're still.
They shouldn't have gone for D. Realistically, there you go, another base captured, and that is worse than Redemption, and that is painful. ISA's southern camp has now been counter-capped. The tech plant captures, you've got to surely think is going to be pushed off. Spawning into southern camp is going to be very difficult, so you'd think that Cobalt, with the play that they're doing, they're already capturing it now. Now that you've got Warston's Redemption, we can see that there was a small distraction cap going at Bridge Ward just so they couldn't do anything at Waterston's Redemption. It was very briefly 50-50 at Waterston's Redemption with those reinforcements, and the reason they had to go back to the Warp Gate, they simply couldn't get there. And look at this at Not Amp Station. With the forces out of play, it looks like Cobalt is applying more pressure on more lanes, and Cobalt is just playing slightly better, and Connery simply can't compete on all the lanes all the time. They're just not winning their 50-50 fights, or their force composition is slightly jilted so that they don't have a balanced 50-50 elsewhere, and their teams that are outpopped are losing, and their teams that are overpopped are not making the same progress that Cobalt is.
We're about to lose this facility.
And it looks like Anvari South Bank has been saved by Connery. Whether or not they push the biolab, they actually have forces there ready to go. ISA Southern Camp is taking down for free. Looks like the fight has moved immediately on for Waterston's Redemption to Bridgeward. If you were the Cobalt, you'd also want to push Echo Valley, and looks like they were, but that's been saved. We're currently just watching the Not Amp Station. They can't spawn in because there's no SEU. They can't spawn in because of the 600 meter range thing. They've got Connery has a huge force at Echo Valley, but unless there's the freedom of mobility, they can't get to Not Amp Station, especially since the SEU is destroyed. In fact, is this a couple of
It's just very, very tough to move around when you have those SEUs knocked out, or you have a base that's cut off. It's going to take a while for you to get significant forces over there if you don't have air dominance.
That's not... yeah.
I mean, when they're there, they win. They've done a really good job, at least, in terms of, like, I've seen them focus fire targets down really well. But when they're not there, I mean, if Cobalt has an air squad over, I mean, they win the base.
Trying to see if there's an objective fight going on. Looks like there's some air force over Echo Valley substation. Maybe that's why the population's higher and bloated. It looks like they will save Echo Valley substation. Yeah, they got infantry on the ground. Looks like most of the Cobalt force has been pushed off. But Cobalt's play at the moment is to push south. They're going for Bridgeward, and they've got the capture point. If we check the... If anything, they're pushing out of the capture room, trying to push into the small... kind of Tetris building, moving towards the spawns. Yes, they're applying pressure. If anything, they're moving now towards double outside the spawn building of Connery, and I think they want to go for a spawn room contain. They don't want to defend the capture room. They want to push out and just bottleneck Connery, which is realistically the right play to do. You don't want to stay inside the capture building by yourself. Speaking of cowboy hats, that's a cowboy hat.
They've got Walker Sundays and Ranger buses up, and they're doing a pretty good job of keeping Connery Air away. They can't get those gals in close enough to do a drop. Although I think the gals that are present are part of the Air Force. Yep, pink.
Oh, we can see that, yeah, the galaxies are loitering outside at a range. We see some drop... Well, hey medic, behind you, behind you. Oh, too late. Oh, they're okay, so they're using airlock-ons. That would be... Cobalt. The thing is, 90 seconds to go. What's the population? It's 54-46, almost 50-50, but some of that population is bloated by the Connery Air Force. They have fewer guys on the ground. The Cobalt forces have pushed up to and into the double building, so they're literally spawn camping now, the Connery forces. Connery is coming out into the open. There isn't a Cobalt Air Force here to punish them moving in the open. 60 seconds to go. Trying to flank around double rather than perhaps going into it. I mean, they're getting close. They're pushed into double, yeah.
That the numbers, at least, you know, you might think he has 50-50 pop at a base, but some of that's there. And with the new spawn changes, the one, at least, good thing for haters of redeploy side is that once the threshold for the defenders reaches 50%, you can't spawn in anybody else. So this is the problem with the last match. You got air here, and then every single person you have flying above the base is one less infantry player.
Cobalt has been pushed back to the capture building, and herein lies the problem that If explosives are used, grenades are thrown in, you are in a very, very tight building. Connery is right outside. Right outside the building. They're on the roof, they're on the walls, they're on the side, they're right there. But with 25 seconds to go, you'd have to think Connery could do this. They're pushing in, resonators are being called by all teams. We're just listening to proxy chat, there's a lot of aggression.
Pick a body, pick a body, pick a body. Everybody just pick a body.
It looks like the Connery's pushed them off. It is reservoirs going off on all sides. Lots of grenades. Oh wait, look at the reinforcements. Max is coming in from behind. Oh, this is going to totally catch the Connery forces behind. They're all weakened with the res grenades. This redeployment reinforcement, it's not extra numbers unless the population on the map isn't taking up. That fresh Max that came in from behind and the air force has turned up. So the fact is Cobalt has turned up with extra forces and they've kind of pushed them from behind. This is going to be brutal for Connery because they don't have anything. They don't have anything to fall back on. That was the push. That was it. And they were hit from behind during the res grenade wars, and that's it. Bridge ward is going to fall, and Cobalt's going to take it with that brilliant counterplay from behind.
I think those maxes came from G and 4U, so I guess Ginyu is the closest thing I could see that being pronounced as. So it's pretty appropriate that they come in with maxes to clear out the point and get that base for Cobalt. But it really is play there.
Small capture fight going on at ISIS Southern Camp. Bridge ward, there we go, falls. It's another base taken by Cobalt. Oh my goodness, we've got an hour and 24 minutes to go. Guys, this is a runaway. Cobalt has got... What can Cobalt do? Can Cobalt break the mythical 70%? Can Connery come back from this and somehow bring this back? I mean, they're losing in Varys South Bank. That is a very difficult base to save due to the nature of the capture point, as you said. We'll go have a look at that. They're losing Echo Valley Substation, if you can check that. Oh, actually, hold on a second. We'll go to not research camp.
Looking at the map at the moment, I mean, Cobalt's not unbreakable. They still made a couple major mistakes with Isa Southern. They've let one guy go through. They had an easy ghost camp with no ability for the enemy to spawn in. And they had one guy come back, flip the point, and they ignored it for several minutes. So now they got 12 to 24 sitting there doing nothing.
Right, but I think in terms of force composition and sizes, I mean, I could be wrong here, the setup is, but I think both teams are roughly accurate. What's different is the quality of the platoons and the matching of them up. I think that the Cobalt infantry play, which we'll check in stats in a second, is slightly superior in certain lanes, maybe not all lanes. And then you have the additional factor that I think Cobalt is doing a better job at not having dead population, if that makes sense to the streamers. Being able to apply pressure at the right place at the right time with the population and working with the redeployment to their effect.
I've seen a lot of times where Connery's just got almost a platoon's worth of forces sitting there warp gate, and normally if like that's air, that's understanding.
Oh wow!
Somebody's been banned for cheating. Okay.
Oh, well, that's on all servers though, I'm assuming. So that's like a broadcast on all servers because we're on the live client. Unless he was on Jaeger, of which case that's why Cobalt are winning.
Well, from the looks of it, at least nobody's stopped shooting. So Connery's got the resecure now at.
Yeah, but the next thing is they've got a lot of fires going off. The ISIS Southern Camp is going to go through, and we can see that Cobalt has actually now said, sack it, we're going to commit forces and make this go through. But so is Echo Valley is also taking over, and Echo Valley is a reasonably good base to defend if you're the owners, due to the proximity of the spawn room to the big Tetris building, onto big stairs into the capture point. It's got to favour the defenders and how easy it is to kind of push in and not be molested by air or vehicles. Cobalt is barely holding on to the top on big stairs.
I think they honestly got it.
Really? No, Connery's going to save this. Echo Valley's Connery's got to save this.
That's gotta go through for Connery. They're gonna get that resecure. Thing is though, like they can't make any offensive movement now. They've got to be sitting here waiting, and they have to call overpop to do it because now they've lost the Varys South Bank. They've
got a large part, so we also see that there's quite a lot of population at Old Shore and Ellie Tower for Connery not doing anything, in that they're not actively fighting is what I mean. And we also see that Anvari South Bank is going to go down and be captured. We knew that base goes back and forth. This is the second and third time it's going back and forth, so realistically I can expect Connery perhaps pushing that lane again for a second time. The Not Research Camp looks like 50% numbers, and that point is actually flipping again. So we'll go back there. We see a galaxy drop from Cobalt on Echo Valley substation. Looks like it's been cleaned up, however. Connery's still here. In terms of population numbers at Echo Valley, they have slight population advantage at 56%. It's to be seen what Cobalt does, because Cobalt's got the forces they had at Southern Camp. Do they go back to Bridgeward? Because the forces at Bridgeward, they don't match the numbers that are Old Shore and LA Tower. So they are out-popped between those three bases, and they're using that spare population to attack multiple lanes in other places.
The big thing is here, though, I mean, you've got like a net loss for Connery on every single lane except for, well, maybe Echo Valley. I mean, it's not a good position to be in, so those Cobalt forces can just sit there and probably like set up, have a picnic at Bridgeward. If those Connery forces don't get moving up, I mean, they're not doing anything. It's just going to hit them harder on the flanks.
So Cobalt Air Force has turned up for Echo Valley substation, but the nature of Echo Valley is unless they pound the spawn rooms continuously, it's still relatively simple to either take the teleport building and run along the walls to the small stairs, or to get out of the main spawn room and just run into the main building. But it's interesting, Cobalt's actually surrounding the spawn room and the capture building to a certain extent, but they don't have the capture point itself. A very strong infantry force for Connery is holding on tooth and nail to the capture point. Brutal EMP grenades mixed with frag grenades. Now in comes the Maxes and infantry for Cobalt onto the capture point. They're breaching into the capture room. The Connery forces don't have enough people here, and Cobalt's going to take the capture point back.
I'm watching that not research app go. I'm hoping at least that Connery can stop it if they want to stay in this. Okay, they've got it. Takes them 2-1 pop, so again, they're just going to be on the back foot somewhere else. And they've still got almost 24-48 just sitting there doing really nothing. They haven't moved out of LA Tower. They had a massive repair Sunday ball going out there, but I mean, there's no cap timer flipping behind them. They're just, they've got a stalemate here, and it's not in their favor. They need to get these bases back and be doing it now to make that comeback happen. It's not happening.
The population numbers of Early Tower Old Shore have gone. Bridgeward is 50-50. Doesn't look like it's going particularly far. There's overpop for the Vanu Sovereignty not research cap, and it's only really going to work if they can start pushing back not Amp Station, and I don't see the Cobalt forces allowing them to go anywhere near it. The main fight that's currently going on is Echo Valley substation. If Echo Valley can be captured, locks down Cerro, locks down Waterson, and allows them to condense the number of lanes, because at the moment we're down to 4 lanes, and if they can get Echo Valley, we're still on 4 lanes, but they can apply pressure towards 10 BL4, or the war machine of Cobalt can push south towards LA Amp, or the Warp Gate. It is entirely possible if they capture Waterson's Redemption to push via Bridgeward, Old Shore, Frostbite, and go for a Warp Gate capture.
Hope we don't have to see that, honestly, but well, I think Connery has a chance to turn this around if they just play well and keep on the docket, but they're going to lose another major base here with Echo Valley, and it's just going to cut off their connection to 2 major bases that they could just be sucking up Cobalt forces for.
I'm trying to see if there's any reinforcements for...
About to lose this facility.
It's just like this looks like an infantry. There's a vehicle group coming in from River Sky Station, but they're being held up by like a half squad of AV Maxes and infantry by Cobalt, and they're not even getting close to the base. With 7 seconds to go, the Echo Valley substation is taken by Cobalt. There's nothing they really do. I mean, there's a large, and check that out, 48 to 96, moving up to Echo Valley substation with a huge lightning force. Was that really efficient? Was that necessary? Could you have done something with all those lightnings when you got there? Maybe you could have got rid of the spawn options, but without the infantry, I don't know what happened there. I think that's maybe a waste, but oh my god. And then losing his Riven Skyguard. Oh no!
I don't even know what they're doing with this.
There's got galaxies and everything here. It was like one infiltrator saying, "Guys, I got this! Totally got this!"
This is just a very, very bad play here, at least, because it's...
Oh my god, and he kills the guy, no less. Well, they get the point back. Okay, and it looks like Jägerfist has been saved. Not research camp is fully saved now, finally, so it's up to decided. Now, we've got this little lull period, guys, and we're just going to check some stats out. We're about the 1 hour 16 marker. Wow. That that tells everything right there. So we're looking at the stats page, Pizza, and you might not be able to see this. Normally, ServerSmash numbers are fairly similar in terms of lines matching each other in terms of kills. Currently, assuming the stats are accurate, with 44 minutes into this game, Connery, that's Vanu Sovereignty Connery, have got around 3,000 kills. Cobalt has just under 5,000 kills. So
wow,
there's a certain level of skill involved, in FPS gameplay, and the farming and the playing and everything that's kind of going on. I think on a strategic level, let's be clear here. The Connery Force Commander's doing what he can, but he's because he couldn't get captured at Bridgewater, he's been double counter-capped at Eliamp and Old Shore Checkpoint. He's doing what he can, but on a tactical level, I don't think the way that Connery is playing is smart. I don't think the way they're playing is conducive or helping them, and they're getting farmed. And the stats say right here, they're getting farmed.
The big thing, at least with this, is I'm looking at the forces that are Bridgewater. As an FC, if you're looking down at the map, like I've said this before, I think Connery needs to really work on their PL level play, because the PL that made this call, I mean, if you're trying to stop forces that are in danger of pretty much attacking your bases, it's okay to pull this many like Sundays and all that stuff. But like these guys are pulling it and they're not disgorging any infantry to get to the point, they're staying in the vehicles. And now you've got like maybe about 10 or 20 odd vehicles having to drive all the way back, take a lot of precious time to get back to LA Tower, and the Connery FC just sees the map view of it, and it's just 2448 sitting there doing nothing. Because the Air Force for Connery is turning up on the capture point for LA Tower. It's I mean, let's be clear here. The Cobalt Force is all inside the capture building. No one wants to go outside, that's for sure. And the walls and the windows are actually kind of blocked off, so I mean it favours them with their maxes on the inside. And as we look at the map, we can see how basically Cobalt is slowly beginning to run away with this game. Two minutes to go though. I'm not seeing the infantry force. I see the Air Force. I don't see the infantry that's going to go inside and stop this. They got the ground floor? Yes, okay, so they've got the ground floor. They're trying to push up to the top floor. A lot of grenades going in, bouncing around the walls. Mr. Riot Shield Max just saying, nope, nope. It's the dilemma. That platoons and activity just cost them, at least, the pop advantage on the western lane. The only thing that saved them was somebody actually thinking and backcapping at Anbari South, so that just delays them.
90 seconds to go. Looks like the Connery force is about to push up. They're on 58%. And they've made the save at Old Shore, so I mean, it's good work. And they're attacking the amp station, that's also good work. Check out these bodies just kind of creeping round the corner. You first. No, you first. Oh, and then proximity chat just says, everyone get in the goddamn cap point. So they get it and they crush it, but I mean, this is the important thing, the difference though. Overwhelming force is control of the surrounding grounds, control of the air, controlling the buildings, killing off the spawns, and that's when your guys go in with what was at the time roughly around 50% numbers, and they get it. And it looks like Oshore's been saved, so now they need to use this momentum they've got in the south to re-counterattack Bridgeward. Or, and then they're also going to have to save East River Sky. I mean, they've got quite a few forces at Echo Valley, but they've been capped from behind. The amp station's being counter-capped, but it looks like the line is slowly stabilizing here. Cobalt can still push really heavily out. If they can push let's say the East River Sky Station down, or they can push into the Old Shore, and they actively make an objective hard push, it would work in their favour. Because before, they'd been working with the middle, using their population, their numbers to rotate around and apply pressure. So you send one force to attack the base, have the base ticking down, and then you send a reinforcement second platoon to join in around the halfway marker, keeping the defenders off foot, not knowing how many people to bring back to defend.
Not the map at the moment, so I mean, you've got, every time you make one of those massive resecures with massive overpop, it's really going to hurt you elsewhere, because it's given them the opportunity really to just redeploy some of that pop that they had attacked. It's just like, I mean, they're realistically not going to get that base, so they could just sit there and come back, and now they've hit East River Sky with a massive amount of forces. And they've got maybe one Reaver and one Galaxy here for air support, but the Connery FC is not calling air.
I've got a request, and there's a 2-minute delay for some weapon stats, so we're just watching at the East River Sky Station. They've still got control of the capture point, right? Finally it's being flipped. And it's all about timing and how quickly you can get there. Oh wait, no, Galaxy reinforcements on air groups on the top. Spawn Galaxy from above. Capture point still under contention. Right, okay, we'll look at some of these stats here while we're watching this fight.
Connery's at least done some airdrops and gotten forces back on the point. And it's at the cost of pretty much overwhelming force. Now they've got to deal with another fire at Eager's Fist and another one that not research. And not research is 50-50.
Oh, get this out. The LA1 Anchor is on 1350 kills. So 1350 going up to 60 kills. The Orion has not even hit 900 yet.
Oh my god, that's when you know something's wrong. Well, the Orion's not number 1 for kills in a faction's, well, a server's playing VS. That's when you know it's not going well.
Jaeger's Fist is going down. I'm going to go check Jaeger's Fist if you perhaps want to watch Not Research count.
Cobalt folks have a pretty smart hold going on here. They're sitting up here on the sort of balconies and using the railings as cover and just picking it off as the
I'm reading orders, chat, and it looks like some of the members of the Connery Force are extremely annoyed because the vehicle terminal at East River Sky Station has been repaired a couple of times, and it's allowing the Cobalt Force just to pull out Sunders and be a nuisance at East River without having to pull forces from Echo Valley Substation. Honest mistakes, but then again, this is right. Let's be clear, guys. We're watching this game. Oh, let me take the stats off. There's vehicles for you. Just a quick overcap, and we'll take off. So, as we were saying, that this is a practice game, so teams and players that haven't played before will try it. Force commanders that have not force commanded before, like myself earlier today, will have tried the games. You know, you might have new players, even playing new platoon leaders, new structures, you might be trying out new things. This may explain why Connery is perhaps losing so badly to Cobalt at this stage of the game without coming back. They're just trying new stuff out for the ServerSmash tournament, so we can expect perhaps more lopsided games. Or just teams kind of experimenting how they want to play and how they want to do and set stuff up. Be interesting to talk to Force Commanders at the end of this and see the kind of gameplay. At Jaeger's Fist, yep.
I still think at least some of the common problems that Connery's been having at least where, I don't know what it is, but the platoon level play, every time you have to, you lose that sort of platoon level fight and have to call in reinforcements, you basically hurt not only your own lane, but another lane, because now you've got to deal with that. And even when they get the resecures here, like at East River Sky, they're not making enough of an effort to push forward towards Echo Valley. They're not going through and really going on the offensive, and I think that's really a testament to what's really going wrong for Connery. All the wrong amount of forces in all the wrong places.
Well, Connery almost got a force up to the upper level on Jaeger's Fist to get a capture going. But, sorry, to make a save at Jaeger's Fist. But Cobalt just didn't let them get him up. And if anything, they brought in reinforcements. Galaxy drop of reinforcements. In terms of population numbers now, they've got population advantage at 55%. And they will get Jaeger's Fist. And this is the first time they've got Jaeger's Fist, and they're going to be threatening Jaeger's Crossing. In fact, we can already see that they've got population there ready to flip points.
This has been like a very common pattern in ServerSmash across all of the matches, is where you'll have this sort of period where there's no bases capped and it's a stabilization and one side has the advantage of the other, and then it'll go back in either direction. But in this case at least, it's the situation where you have more momentum being gained by Cobalt, because Connery can't put out the fires and is not trying to do that re-attack to end the period.
And they're going to lose not research. And the important thing here, guys, to pay attention is Connery playing bad? Well, strategically speaking, no. Are they playing bad on a tactical level? Probably. That's why they're losing so poorly. And when I say on a tactical level, it's if the force commander tells you you've got 30 people, 40 people, or for example here we're looking at Osho checkpoint, you've got 48 to 96, I want you to attack Bridgeward. It's how you go about attacking Bridgeward. That is a platoon level leader decision, and it's that tactical level of gameplay that we are seeing Cobalt consistently outplay Connery at, and that is where server smashes are made and lost. Any monkey, case in point me, can lead a force command and lead a server smash. It's what your platoon leaders and your tactical gameplay does that dictates how the outcome of the fight will be. And I have yet to see Connery take a base from Cobalt objectively. Now, Jaeger's fist in the very south bank, that's because it's in a very advantageous base for that to happen. I haven't seen anything to give me hope that they can come back. They've locked in our research tab. Can they get Bridgeward back? Can they get, Echo Valley Substation back? Well, these are single point bases, and yes, in a normal, equally skilled, equally mirror match, it is entirely possible. But I'm not seeing, Connery. They're not showing me anything that they consistently and reliably perform an attacking play on a tactical level.
The thing that I really see in this is that, I've been pretty hard at least on Connery throughout this match, but the FC may be having to redeploy all those numbers because he's just not confident in the fact that those platoon leads there can do the job with the numbers that they have. Because the whole big thing with ServerSmash is really the FC is there to make the big calls, to pretty much put the foot down when necessary, but it's the PLs that pretty much decide whether you win or lose.
Where's the dock?
Connery had a pretty good plan at least on the opener with the interdiction and barracks and then not sub, but they couldn't pull it out because they just, after they had that well planned opener, they really didn't follow up in moving forces around appropriately. The bases that they thought they were going to win, that didn't really go that smoothly.
Cowboy hat. Sorry. I'm just saying, cowboy hat. I see one. I'm going to follow him.
You need to have a counter for these things. Number of Valkyries, Valkyrie kills, cowboy hats, tanks.
Well, it's commissioner. You've got the commissioner hat for the TR, right? And you've got the cowboy hat for the NC. Is there a thing for the Vanu Sovereignty?
Spandex, but it's everywhere.
What would it be though? There's a question for you, in a bit of levity while we're watching Ellie Tower Camp going on. If you were, because I don't think there's a Vanu Sovereignty kind of helmet thing that matches their sort of lore or ethics.
But I found an MBT. It's a score. The 2-1. You're probably winning that battle, but I'm watching what's going on here at Jaeger's Crossing, and it's 50-50 pop. But all the time that they're taking here on this tower and taking it down, if the Connery forces are not able to resecure another point here, and this just still goes on as status quo, they've either got to, really shape up, or they're going to have to call in forces from outside the base. And they really can't afford to do that at this stage because they're losing East River Sky.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's a game of chicken at the moment. Because Ellie Tower is being saved, but they're losing East River Sky, and between the two bases, it's roughly equal population. So because they have an overpop at Ellie, they don't have equal pop at East River. And even if they did have equal pop at East River, due to the nature of the base and the Air Force, could they even save it even if they wanted to? But at the same time, they had a 50-50 fight going at Bridgeward, but was it the same kind of organisation or skill involved that Cobalt used to take it? And with a minute and 40 to go, they are already pushed back to the spawn room. But look at that Sunder ball set up outside of the ammo tower. They could spawn back in the Sunders and pull reinforcements and come in. In fact, I think they are bringing reinforcements with that Galaxy. But the thing is, now this is the crucial thing. Bridgeward is 1 minute and 30 seconds. East River Sky Station is 30 seconds. That means the Cobalt forces that are east, because they're close enough, they're within the 600 meters, that are at East River Sky Station, they could redeploy and spawn in at Bridgeward and then overpop. Now, defenders can't go in 53%, so they need to have some sort of spawn logistics, some sort of galaxy system. But the point I'm making it is simply that because I can capture your base first, I can then go back to my base that you're capturing and save it, so I get a double win.
This case, at least, they actually have a Sunday deployed on the point at East
On the
River
point,
Sky,
yeah, I've seen that before. That's so powerful.
just went down the pool. Sorry. But the thing is, Connery might have a good chance if they can pull. Nope, they didn't reinforce quick enough. And that's the thing with the 600 meter distance, because the distance between East River Sky and Bridgeward is actually 1,200 meters. That's out of range. So offensively, it's a pain to attack. And Cobalt's at least proven that they've been coordinating a lot of their offensive movement with air support. So what happens with that is they're able to get where they need to go. It's not going to be quick, but it's going to be effective, and they can keep a steady chain of reinforcements flowing. Connery hasn't been able to do that. A lot of times when their air force moves up, their infantry transporters get killed first by the Cobalt Air, and they're not taking out the enemy air force before their troop transports come in, or they let the base cap down so much that they just don't have the time to do that. And
Yeah,
really cost them.
and it's cost them because the thing is they gamble on a capture bridge ward at the sacrificing of East River, and if both bases had flipped, then hypothetically it's not ideal, but it plays out. But that isn't the case, and we're now reaching the point where it's condensing. We have 4 lanes, but we have a large outpost at Jaegers, a large outpost at Terranbeal 4. Terranbeal 4 is an easy base to defend due to the nature of the spawn points being very awkward and the Air Force being able to dominate outside Terranbeal 4, the Crash Biolab. So it's a bridge ward fight. They've still got they had the Sunders outside, but it looks like it's been wiped by lightning forces or, AV forces from Cobalt. Yeah, it's crunching down to the four brutal fights, but the fact is Cobalt is now also being pushed back from not research camp to geological survey camp. It's getting painful. It's very a slow grind. And let's be clear here, guys. 1 hour to go, right? We're only halfway through the ServerSmash, and Cobalt is on 68%. Cobalt today might break the mystical, let's call it, I can't quite finish, 70 what?
1 hour remaining in the match. 1 hour remaining in the match.
I've always been tantalizingly close to seeing that happen, and it's never gone through. Of course, Cobalt, as you know, managed to go through and beat Emerald Team 1 pretty solidly at the end of the last year's tournament, so it's very painful for me to see at least them possibly get that 70% here versus Connery. So secretly I'm rooting for Connery, but not so secretly, because honestly I don't want to see anybody reach that threshold just yet.
You want to be the first one to do it? Or you want to see Emerald be the first people to do it?
But honestly I think it's going to be a tough thing to see, because it's probably going to be Cobalt from the way this match is going.
And I was reading chat very briefly. We are kind of a delay with the chat, but the Vanu Sovereignty, even though they don't have, would have to be a Space Pope hat. That would be their hat. I don't know if you're aware of the Space Pope from Futurama, but that's their kind of faction-specific hat they need to have.
I will give this though to the Connery forces, sorry to interrupt, Farah, but they've actually stuck in here, and I think that's a real credit at least to the outfits that are playing in this, because they're not actually logging out of the match or rage quitting. They're still, even though they're behind and getting, well, pretty much in a very bad spot tactically, they're still giving it their all, and they're still giving it a shot and hanging in there, so I'll give them
We've just seen Galaxy drop from Connery on the capture point of Geological. I mean, and we're just watching the capture point to see what happens. It's a very exposed capture point. Lots of vantage points in all directions from all buildings. They've managed to make a 17-second base save, but the question is for how long. It looks like they're getting reinforcements from the spawn rooms. We're not really seeing any kind of Cobalt Air Force to kind of balance the numbers out. I think this is now a save for Connery.
I think they might get it, but it depends on if Cobalt really decides that they really want the space, because if they want to redeploy forces, they got the advantage here. That cap timer's flipped in the favor of, well, Cobalt, and Connery's got to sit there for maybe about 3+ minutes to do any kind of offensive movement on that lane, so really, Cobalt has the time to do what they want.
Oh wow, the thing is, counter reinforcements by Cobalt on the Geological Survey Camp. The point is still being heavily contested. Trying to see the spawn options for Cobalt. Okay, so they've got the road set up. They've got some another Vanguard, second Vanguard, AV. Could even be the same Vanguard actually.
Probably the same guy too. He's just driven all the way down here from Knot.
Yeah, well, so when I was playing in the platoon with Red October, they had a guy. I think it was Crusade or something. He was just like, I'm playing the Vanguard, and he just played the Vanguard the whole game. But credit to him, he played the Vanguard really well. That's maybe what this guy's doing. But I don't know what he's doing outside. I guess he's guarding the Sunder, Spawn Sunder option and allowing the attack to continue to going into Geological Survey. But yeah. I tell you what, is there any air battle going on at the moment on the skies over anywhere on the map?
It's been a situation really where it seems like in a lot of the heavily contested air battles, it goes either way. Like early on, I think Connery, when they have their air forces present, they'll win the air battles, and then it turned into really where I think it's just the toll, honestly, of losing so many air bases. Like I'm watching a massive air battle going on right now over LA Tower, and it seems like at least the Reavers are winning out here as the game progresses, because they've just lost so many of their good air spawns. Really just got the warp gate that they can pull from.
Oh, I guess the one QA dev is online today. Community support just banning people.
The sad sight of the poor Connery Skywells get picked apart by Reavers.
I'm just following this one heavy assault for New Conglomerate. They've managed to get the capture point back at Geological Survey Camp. It's 50-49% population. There isn't really that much air force. This is all coming down to player skill. And you'd have to say...
At the moment, the air battle, because both of the air forces just had a major engagement over Old Shore Checkpoint. You see all that NC pop there. The Connery Air Force unfortunately got, I think, taken out really by a combination.
Oh, and yeah, and this is where it's going to be happening. There's an overpopulated Terran BO4. They need to move back to save Ellie and Old Shore. We can see that their forces from the air group are back in the warp gate, and there's an overpop at Jaeger's Fist, but Jaeger's Crossing isn't fully done. So Connery has overpop in a couple of bases, but they're underpop severely in other bases that they're losing. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is they have overpop in bases that they can't capture or not capturing, whereas Cobalt has overpop in bases that they are actively capturing. And it's going bad again now for Connery because Geological Survey has no reinforcements. It's the furthest point now from the warp gate. No one's going to be able to get here. No one's going to be able to fly there. The forces that are Terran BL4, they could hypothetically spawn into Geological Survey Camp and help out this big 4896, but they're not. I don't know what's going on over there.
They can't really move over there because sometimes the
wrong lane set up, and there isn't an air terminal. I don't think the problem is the air terminal is at LA Tower. That's where the Southern's air terminal is.
And also, they can't pull from there if they wanted to because the Cobalt Air Force just wanted the decisive victory against Connery's Air Force in the area, and I think they're just camping the warp gate at the moment. But
there you go, Geological Survey Camp goes down, and that takes it to 70%. Now, can they hold it or go further? Who knows?
Oh god, I wish I never saw that percentage.
Right, we're going to go to Old Shore now and Ellie and see what's going on over there. Old Shore checkpoint. Looks like the Vanny Sovereignty had control, but the New Conglomerate are back. It's a very small straggler fight.
The thing about a lot of these small fights is really they can decide the game really because it
what
really gives the
dude this New Conglomerate Cobalt Heavy just came in by himself, took down 2 guys when they got the jump on him, then took a Commissioner pistol kill, and then he died somehow.
Kyle, is that you? Come to deliver Cobalt to victory. Here comes the Cobalt Air Force again, hanging out over Frostbite.
That pilot.
So there's no reinforcements.
Where are you going? Nowhere, apparently. Oh yes, and I'll head over to LA Tower now. That's to be the next fight that's kind of crunching away.
Here we go. Connery's got a cap going at least on Jaeger's Fist and East River Sky, but the question is at what cost?
Mag Rider. I see a Mag Rider. Does that count? It's being used to take out the LA Tower Sunders.
Well, you'd pull a Mag Rider from Warp Gate at this
yep,
stage.
from the Warp Gate.
Nothing to lose.
Well, you're that close to the Warp Gate, which is never a good thing. But the actual capture point, sub 60 seconds, yes, I think Cobalt could hypothetically hold on to this because there's a lot of fragmented forces from Connery outside, not necessarily pushing into the capture point. There's a lot of vehicles, guys getting out, but they don't have like a block of maxes to push up. And the problem is, the Scar maxes from New Conglomerate is absolutely brutal holding down these exact corridors. It's coming in from the roof from behind. It's flacking away all the infantry. Most of the infantry are dead now. Maxes are on by themselves, trying to do what they can, and they're now pushed off the point.
a game of, now it's a game of chicken because there's 2 bases that are ticking down, but honestly, the Cobalt Force Commander has done a very smart thing where he had a platoon sitting at Frostfall Overlook, just capping that down. And since there was no Connery response, immediately
This is odd.
over to East River.
There's a battle going East River, but there's nobody at Frostfall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of torn over which base to go to. I think I'll go to Jaeger's Fist actually, because I want to see how the Connery force is doing there. See if they can't actually. I mean, if you're gonna push out a base, this would be the one because it's so close to your 3-pointer.
And they just got pushed off the point here by looks like Jest.
And they've got the southern double building. And they got some spawn options on the side. It depends. I mean, I don't think they've got the infantry numbers there. That's the problem. They're 50-50, and they've got a lot of surrounding vehicles on the outside. So realistically, the active infantry numbers in the base is going to be less. And I think the Cobalt guys are just actively pushing them back.
Looking at it at the moment, I mean, I see a lot of Sky Guards. Oh, found a Vanguard that's on fire. But there's a lot of Sky Guards that are being used by Connery, and I think that's actually not the way to go, because as nice as those are for a deterrent factor, it works really well just to annoy people, but realistically you want walker buses, because they're cheaper and they're more effective at least for someone that can really actually direct their fire and can aim really well. And there goes Frostfall Overlook. Like I say this stuff about those small fights, making a massive difference. Here it is, a 1 to 12 ghost camp, just putting Cobalt further in the lead.
Yeah, and the thing is, look at this massive amount of population that Connery is having to commit to Old Shore and Early Tower because both bases are flipping down. So, depending on how you look at this, it can be 4 or 5 base lanes. Really, the Bridgeport, Old Shore, Early Tower is kind of like one lane that's really, really hurting them. And they have people at Ymir Eastern Way Station, and this is getting really bad because they're getting really close to the biolab. It's a 50-50 fight at Terran BL4, and they're going to have to stop the Ymir lane. You can't allow the NC to get at the biolab. That's just, it's criminal. And they're up to 72% now. So we have, just to be clear guys, we have had teams at 70% before, but the map ran out where they didn't have it. This could be bad. This could go into the high 70s now, because there are still plenty of single point bases if Cobalt wanted to apply extra pressure.
Well, for what it's worth, at least it is fitting, because the only server really to have gone above 70% before in a match has been Cobalt against themselves, so I guess they...
That was like 90% though. I mean, that was absolute crazy. They just said, let's totally destroy ourselves.
We'll say this though, one of the major things that I think is making the difference for Cobalt, a lot of their offenses, is they're really doing a good job of integrating that air to ground and ground force communication there, because I don't know if they're communicating really heavily and Connery just doesn't have AA, or they're actually just coordinating pretty well in terms of getting that air support where it counts, because I think Connery air lead isn't terrible, and their air force is actually pretty good. But the dilemma that they have is they just do not have the air poles necessary to do any kind of maneuvering, and the Cobalt Air Commander is just communicating really well with his squads.
Look at this, the overpop at Old Shore compared to the underpop at Ellie Tower. It's painful. And the thing is, alright, so the Connery forces have sent Pop to Ymir Eastern, and they have the population to make the save, which they've done. Now they're going to counter-push at Frostfall Overlook and push back up that lane. They've got 50-50 population at BL4, and you have to favour the defender's advantage at that base, which we should go have a look at. They've got a cap going at Bridgeward, but it's only a diversionary attack, if anything. So we'll swing by the Ellie Tower along the way to Terran BL4, see what's going on.
Another really smart thing that Cobalt's been doing, I think their FC is doing a very good job of watching those timers, because he has been sending reinforcements right when he sees that timer go down and it gets really close, because he knows that's going to be a threshold where you're going to start having forces try and redeploy in. And he's doing a very good job of getting those reinforcements sent early, instead of doing what Connery has been doing, which has been pretty much delaying the reinforcements or just not having them available and having to send them out late. is it's this kind of thing where the way cap timers work in PlanetSide 2, you're just, when you're losing and you're not really being on the ball about flipping the next base for an offensive pushback, you're just gonna sit there and get rolled if the opponent decides to steamroll that lane. Because every time you have to defend, you've already lost the offensive fight. You have no ability really to apply any more
It's all
pressure.
tempo. It's keeping the fight on the enemy base. It's keeping them on the back foot. Well, all 3 capture points at Terran BO4 are now in the hands of Cobalt, and Cobalt's actually got population advantage. I like the fact that Connery is attacking at Frostfall Overlook, but there's so much population at Eastern and Frostfall, that extra pop has probably come from Terran BO4, and they're buying time to take Frostfall with Terran BO4. That's, unfortunately, while all this Eastern fight is going on, Ellie Tower, as you're saying, has been completely abandoned with 30 seconds to go. There was a diversionary attack at Bridgeward that went off, and it looks like 50-50 forces have been pulled to Jaeger's Crossing. What is this? 48-96 in the Warp Gate? It's just Cobalt packing their bags and going home for the day?
Well, this is actually Connery, I think, doing it.
Sorry,
but,
Connery, yeah, that's what I mean,
in
sorry.
this case, they've done several times this kind of thing. It might be as a result of the new spawn changes, where they just try and pile up on the warp gate to do a coordinated push. And it's a common live tactic. And the thing is, it just doesn't translate too well on this, because the folks that you're going up against aren't going to be like the regular puppies or folks that aren't in communication.
Uncontested fight, and this is the thing, Cobalt is fighting primarily on their lanes. I think for the most part, certain lane groups or forces on lanes will bounce back and forth between side lanes, but they're mainly just applying pressure. At no point have we seen Cobalt have to redeploy in mass and then re-attack. They're basically applying pressure on the lanes or fighting, reinforcing, defending on friendly lanes. It's Connery that we're seeing doing consistent pullbacks to the warp gate to regroup to then fly back out again. And it's punishing them because the time it takes them to go back is time they're not on the front lines, and those precious minutes allows the enemy to set up on your base and fight at you. So currently, Cobalt is heavily engaged with Connery on their base at Jaeger's Crossing. They're also heavily engaged in capping Quixley Terran BL4, and it looks like the Frostfall Overlook is still going in their favour at 67%, and we'll see whether or not Cobalt does anything about this, because they've got such a huge overpop at Terran BO4. I'd be surprised if Cobalt allowed Connery to take Frostfall, because they've got so much population. It's 2 Zergs, look at that, 48-96 right next to each other.
I think this is actually one of the times where I would agree with the Connery Force Commander's deployment in this sector, because if he can get that Frostfall Overlook cap to go through, he's in a good spot if he can get the Terran BL4 back.
Yes.
The dilemma that he has is how quick can you feasibly redeploy over there, because the thing is, this is a gamble that might be worth making just because of the fact with the new spawn changes, it is very, very hard to get a good offensive push set up. And it is very, very easy, really. It hasn't changed too much in terms of addressing the defensive redeploy side issue. It's only
Air
really
Force has turned it for Frostfall, and I mean in numbers. It is full screen worth of rocket pods. They're just annihilating any form of air and all vehicles currently in control by Connery. Very, very soon they're not going to have any spawn options because there's no spawn garages. But with 30 seconds to go, it's going to be nail-bitingly close. They might be able to hold on. The problem is the run time is about 12 seconds from the spawn room. So now it's a case of only forces outside the spawn room can get to the capture point. What have they got? It's a lot of forces inside the spawn building. Connery should get this with 8 seconds to go. Cobalt realistically should be running in with everything they've got in the surrounding area. They're allowing them to get it.
I think their philosophy is, so what?
There you go. Okay, so Connery takes a base. Now what happens?
Terran BL4.
Because Terran BL4, my goodness, it's 2-1 numbers in favour of Connery. So I mean, yeah, they've got Connery, and they don't necessarily have anyone at Geological Survey Camp ready to flip it. But do they now redeploy? How do they redeploy? Do they redeploy some numbers to go to Terran BL4? Because they're so outpopped. And they're losing a 50-50 fight at the Ellie Amp station, and it's a stalemate at Jaeger's Crossing. And look at that, there's another 24-48 in the Esamir Southern Warp Gate. And that population is why there's such an overpop at the Terran BL4. A mixture of what's at Frostfall and a mixture at the Terran BL4 is where the population is.
Well, what I think that is actually is there have been several major air engagements around Frostbite Harbor because the Air Force has no really good air spawns. Jaeger's Crossing has always been contested, so is LA Tower. Ymir Biolab is okay, but not particularly great. They haven't been able to get out of the warp gate. Their Air Force is trapped in the warp gate, and that might be the cause of that high population sitting there.
And this is the thing, Ternbule 4 is a fantastic base to attack. For example, if this was a Cobalt base, and Connery was attacking this base, my word, you know that the Cobalt Air Force would turn up and absolutely pound away. And we saw some Galaxy reinforcements perhaps from Connery try and land in Ternbule 4 and do something, but the problem is it's just that there's a defense in depth by Cobalt. They're spread out around the capture building, and they're not all clustered in any one area, so to push out is extremely difficult from the spawn room. And the Connery Air Force isn't here, and the Cobalt Air Force is here, and they're just pounding away at the spawn room.
I mean, here's the thing on like the platoon level they're doing really well, because you have, like, you can almost think of all the force multipliers you have in here, and all of the these forces pretty much arrayed around their spawn room as just buying seconds on the clock. Like, they've got maybe about 5 or 6 engineers repairing this dual Fury bus that's just sitting there making it so any approach towards B and C is not going to work. And they've got good communication with the air to make sure any sort of push out towards the 8 point is not going to work. So Cobalt's got this really locked down, and you're not going to get this back by trying to push out from that spawn room, because they've got it ringed. It's not happening.
And we're just watching the last fight in the Spawn Room Warriors, and that is it. So that is another large outpost, I should say, captured by Ternbule 4. And as the Cobalt Force, you would quite happily trade Frostfall for Ternbule 4, wouldn't you? You would be like, yep, I'll make that trade because I know I'll take Frostfall back off you. Or maybe I'll just pass over to Ymir Mindwatch and go for the Biolab. And heck, while we're at it, they are out-popped. Currently, this is Cobalt, 58 to 41 at the AMP station. But the AMP stations can be a right tricky base because these are the 7-minute point ones. Are they inside? Let's have a look.
Dilemma with this Esamir.
Oh, the SEU's charged as well, just to make things extra interesting.
Once you guys lose the Octagon for the south and pretty much lose the Zero Listening, and I think also the pretty much the fight over in the east, you really lose a lot of your major offensive options, because Anvari's, like, if you get it, it's critical for defense. It's not going to be that great for offense. So the bases you really want to get, ideally for here, is Pale Canyon for defense, Sarah for offense, and then that knot lane for offense. And
so he should come to Eliamp, by the way. The the SU is destroyed, and the cap timer is sufficiently progressed that the new conglomerate forces can come in via the SU shields. And now Connery has captured the spawn room, and it's just a colossal fight over this small area of the SU.
that effect really of a good Air Force that's actually on the ball, because they're just going to town with the air to ground. Connery's at least got the point back though, and if they can get those Sundays set up on the inside, they're in a very good spot.
But the problem is the SU is down, and I don't see a spawn sunder for Connery, and Cobalt is slowly grinding away to capture. Now, even though the SU is repaired, I think it's going to be charged almost instantaneously. Again, both teams have sent 96 plus to Ellie Amp Station. Connery's kind of drawing the line here. You can't have this. They've committed numbers. SU is charged, but is currently up again, allowing fresh respawns in. Capture point is in the hands of Connery, so they're making a save. Soon that hole in the back of the SU will be plugged. In about 15-20 seconds, they won't be able to come in anymore because the shield will come back up again. Cobalt has to push up to the capture room or get GSD and Sunders into the capture area again. But at the moment they're just in a horrendously brutal fight over the SEU.
And one Connery guy who's got the right idea, because there's a lot of Cobalt forces going through one narrow choke point like we saw earlier with Connery at Knot. And if you get folks with sticky nades in there and just start spamming the crap out of those things, you're going to knock out a lot of the forces that are in there because it's such a small space.
So the Cobalt forces inside the SU are trapped. The SU is now destroyed, however, but they're trapped. They can't get any extra reinforcements in. It's up to the Connery force. Do they have spawn options outside? Because there's a spawn.
Victory has not eluded us. Fight harder.
Just waiting for everything to render in.
There we go. Should be back up now.
While you've been gone, it looks like that for all that blood and treasure spent to get Frostfall Overlook, it's now going for free for Cobalt once more. And it looks like they're getting Old Shore and Ymir Mine Watch if nothing's done. Because the PL, at least at Old Shore, is doing it correct, because Connery is trying to push out from the spawn room, and they're doing a really good screen here to make sure that they don't get anywhere near that cap point, with the support of the air. Just don't see this one happening in terms of Connery making a comeback. Shore checkpoint follows the
The enemy has taken the facility.
Same thing with Frostfall Overlook and now Ymir Mine Watch. 3 bases within 30 seconds of each other.
There we go, nice start. Well done, Pizza, for taking over. Yeah, I can see that now, Ellie Tower and Old Shore checkpoint. We need to be sure that we unhost the PSP2 for the time being. We can see, yeah, I can see the counterattack going at Ellie Tower. I'm going to go take up the watch there. Wow, that Air Force.
Yeah, I think Cobalt's Air Force has really run away with it in this last section of the map because
they're not going for 70%, they're going for 80%.
That bar as high as possible, aren't they?
Yep. Setting a new benchmark.
Big thing that I thought happened was losing Frostfall over there. It's just they let it get ghost camped after losing Terran BL4 to take it. So all of that work really was for nothing. If you look at it now, all of Cobalt's Air Force is rearming right at LA Tower. It pretty much gives them a really easy staging area to hit the VS Warp Game. When you have Old Shore checkpoints set up with all that flak, you can pretty much cut down any kind of galaxy reinforcement that's moving across the southern half of the map. So it's going to be very tough for Connery to hold on, especially if they get pushed on a flank and can't reinforce quick enough.
Yeah, we're currently watching the Ymir Eastern Way Station attempted capture by Connery. By Cobalt, and the Connery's made a save, but actually what is going on here? Capture point NC, no, the NC's ticking it down, alright, fair enough, so they're re-attacking. 50-50 population numbers, not really that much air force, it's all infantry on infantry fighting again and again. 29 minutes to go, could they dominate the map?
I think honestly at this point, I mean, there is no chance of coming back for a comeback, so at the moment it's just damage control.
How badly, what's going to happen, yeah. Keeping you guys motivated to keep the fight up. Cobalt's pushing them back to the spawn room at Ymir Eastern Way Station. What else is going on? The attack by Connery at Jaeger's Fist looks like it's stalled. Oh, they're going for the warp gate. They're going for the warp gate. You see that Frostbite Harbour?
Yep.
So they got pushed out of Eliamp, as you said, but now they're going to go for the toe poke and the warp gate. 80%, and the 80% base is the warp gate base? Oh, there you go.
These are really, really easy bases to cap when you have air dominance here. It's a long run from the spawn room to get there.
I tell you what, guys, you guys are wondering about the world population. It's still balanced. Nobody's left, and I've seen it in chat. It's still there. So, I mean, very, very big props to Connery to playing this whole thing out.
Is mainstream still holding PSP2?
No, we're back to PSP1, so we're good.
Okay, just checking.
We see the Cobalt Air Force. This is the thing. The Cobalt Air Force. That's the Connery warp gate right there. And they're basically playing and dominating the Connery Air Force. In fact, if anything, they're pushing the Connery Air Force back to the warp gate.
It's a factor that you'll see sometimes in Emerald matches when we have an Air Force present, is that...
Remember when I saw a Mag Rider? I see 4 more. 5 more.
Oh gosh.
Coming out the warp gate. Now, I don't know how effective that's going to be. Wait, 6 and 7. There's a whole bunch of Mag Riders. They're coming over to Frostbite. 2 minutes to go, though. How effective are Mag Riders going to be? Because the main fighting going on here isn't vehicle, it's infantry fighting on the spawn rooms and on the cap point.
Cobalt's going hard for that warp gate because they just pretty much pulled out forces from the biolab, and this is again another situation. The Connery force has conceded Ymir Eastern Way entirely, and they've got 2-to-1 pop at Ymir, but they're not resecuring Ymir Eastern Way.
Guys, check out the warp gate. We've got a huge armor reserve coming out.
Yes, we saw that, Mail. Cheers, I'll go back and have a look.
It's even better.
Oh gosh, yes, we've got some lightning reinforcements and air. Even more Mag Riders. Hell, props to Connery for making this fun now. This isn't about, you know, this is kind of like, we will take our base back and slide down the hills while we're at it.
They have all these resources, I mean...
And they decided, we're not going to fly, we're going to drive or hover. How effective is this going to be? They're so going to lose the base. I'm telling you now, they've lost Frostbite because way too much pop is committed in these vehicles. Wow, and the Reavers overhead just dominatingly splashed to death. Is this going to push off? It's going to push off the Air Force. I wonder what Cobalt's thinking. Holy crap. But 45 seconds to go. Infantry fighting on the point is... what's Cobalt and Connery doing? It's 50-50 the bio. There's some fighting at the amp. There's very little population at Jaegers. They've got 60% population at Frostbite. So their pop is all here. So theoretically they've got enough pop for infantry and vehicles. But as we were saying, all of this vehicles in air, it's not going to do anything as far as the capture point's concerned. It looks pretty.
I mean, I gotta say, if you're gonna have a really bad loss, at least have some fun with it. And that's what it seems like Connor's resolved to do. They've got some infantry pushing in here, but, yeah, it's not happening. That is not happening. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of maxes.
See, all of that fighting on the outside, this is the inside. This is where the real meet and grit's going to happen, and there's nobody here. That's the problem.
It's gone down to the French military sim outfit, so props to them for getting that. Jeez. Derpy Mag Riders everywhere, but it's...
Oh, and here we go. There's pressure on the amp station, there's pressure on the biolab, there's pressure on Toustone, there's pressure on Everett. This is your worst nightmare as a Connery guy. It's 82-15. 82-15. By far our highest official ServerSmash game numbers, and pressure is being applied everywhere. Now the populations are still there, guys. It's still relatively balanced. It's just a case of Connery. Alright, they've reached the warp gate, but now are they going to completely warp gate you? Well, they're really trying.
Or you might have seen at least that pretty well after the match. It was a very well circulated plan, at least, for warp gating Miller with Operation Cockblock to cut off all their territory. I think Cobalt might have also seen that too. Get this to go off, they're gonna be in a really good spot. They also realize, you know, that Connery's not gonna allow that to happen, but at this point it's Cobalt's game. They really can make all the decisions that they want to make.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, the problem is the amp station's taking. There's a lot of bases taking down. I mean, who do you send to the amp? Who do you send to the biolab? Do you keep that ridiculous 2-to-1 population advantage at Frostbite with all those vehicles? Is it going to do anything in front of the capture point? The vehicle armor Zerg is actually coming along Frostbite towards Toustone, which is probably a better choice to get rid of the spawn options from Jaeger's Crossing. But yeah, I suppose you could be hit from behind at Jaeger's Crossing, but Toustone, there's still some Sunders, still some spawn options, some infantry. Big spawning numbers though by Connery, but they're on the other side of the bridge. They're not necessarily moving up. It's only really 3 guys holding the bridge at most. Slowly moving up.
It's almost night and day in comparison to their performance against Briggs. So you look at this and, oh my gosh, what
I wonder what it was different, what they changed, if anything, how they played differently, what the numbers they used. Well, the ground forces that were over at Frostbite have turned up now to Two-Stone from Connery, and they're just smashing on all sides, and they're surrounding the capture point. Right, they've got the capture point now. Next base that's ticking down that Cobalt has sent forces to is Everett Supply Co, and they're still ticking down the amp station. And let's be clear, guys, 22 minutes left in this game. This isn't like the last 7 minutes mad dash to get everything you can. Once the early amp goes down, there's going to be pressure everywhere. This could turn into a 3-base all-for-all around the warp gate. It's still probably unlikely that we'll get a domination effect where the continent automatically locks due to population control. If this was like a 2.5-hour ServerSmash, it's possible.
Watching Ellie go down with 2 minutes, I've been watching this point hold by Facts and a couple other outfits. They've been sitting in here, like I guess this is a simulation of what it's like to play on Connery Live, because there's a bunch of vehicles around the point firing in HE and all that. But the infantry's not coming in.
Yeah, and we're watching the Everett Supply Co, and this is where Cobalt's Air Force is at. Just pounding the spawn room. Not necessarily getting any kills, but so long as you pound the doors, you're making the enemy not want to come out. And they're completely surrounding the spawn rooms. It's just not a fair fight.
Thing is, this is the base that is the toughest of these warp gate bases to take. It is a fairly short run over to the double stack, but when you have like no air support in like the area, it's tough to hold as infantry. But once you have that air support in place, like this is where you want it. This is to lock down that spawn room really well, because it's a tough base to take with infantry only.
We're down to 35 seconds. It's just Air Force by Cobalt. There's nothing, not even a whiff of resistance currently from Connery. They're all in their spawn rooms, both spawn rooms. They can't get out, and even if they did get out, it's just so much pop over at Everett. It's sickening.
Looking at it and the positioning of these Cobalt forces, they know what they're doing. They're on the roof. They've got the air support, so they know they're not going to get taken out from Connery's air. I mean, they can afford to be up here. Every guy that this spawn room sniper snipes, I mean, it doesn't matter. Nobody follow up.
That's another base, and that horrendously now cuts off the remaining territory, so reinforcement is extremely difficult. There's a good aggressive counterplate, Jaeger's Fist. Props to them, they are still attacking, that's Connery. There's no ability to spawn back in the Eliamp, not only they cut off, but the SU is also down. That's a small amount of population going to get the base there for free. Ellie Barracks Complex, you've got to think, is now going to be captured. Ellie Forest Pass is going to start being captured. The Biolab, they can't get reinforcements in. They can't fly past the Air Force that's at Everett Supply Co. You've got to think with a little bit of population they'll get that. All of this territory that's currently on the southeastern edge of the map is got to be captured, and that will push it over 90%. With 20 minutes to go, it's possible. I think this is really, really brutal. I mean, and they don't need to have a lot of population. They just need to warp gate them, because they can't redeploy into the bases they need to get to. And so long as the air dominates the warp gate, they can't fly there either.
Alright, so this guy, alright, I'll give this one Connery guy props for, I think, NVLA was the outfit tag. But the SCU was down for a bit at Esamir, and there was 30 seconds left on the cap timer. And like little individual acts of heroism to try and stop this tide. There's a bunch of maxes hanging around the SU shield gen, and all the Connery forces ran that way, but one guy who finally thought, you know what, base is about to get flipped, I should probably cap the point instead of going for that SU that we already own. That has at least stalled it for now, but it remains to be seen at least if they can actually hold this. They've got the pop, so they shouldn't be losing it. You wonder though, have you seen too many Connery maxes during the course of this match? Like, I haven't really seen that many.
No, I've seen them from time to time. The usage of them, or maybe the nanites, or how they've supported them, it's hard to say. It's not like they haven't used them at all. I have definitely seen them. It's just the case of I've seen NC maxes more.
reading through the Yell chat here, and somebody wrote, Cobalt, tonight we dine in a classy Californian Taco Bell.
Classy.
By this rabble?
Fool trying to cap this biolab here. It looks like
SCU's been charged. Are reinforcements making it in? They are 50-50. But the early barracks and early forest pass are going down. They did try and go for a full warp gate at 2 stone, and they are losing Jaeger's Fist. Actually, I want to see if I can get it over there just in time. The 86 pop percentage is going to go back down to about 84 in a few moments if this Jaeger's Fist goes through. Wow, that Air Force. Okay, so the Air Force is here over the capture point. Any pilot can just drop down and now land on that point. I don't see how they can hold on to it.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
And that's the problem with some of these capture points. You need air.
Yeah, at this point...
Holy crap! The amount of people that Cobalt just sent at this base. It's colossal.
Trying to pretty much keep the observer cam focused on the point, but I'm getting jostled by NC aircraft. Airspace is so crowded here. There goes the spawn solutions.
Right, so Cobalt makes a save at Jaeger's Fist. It looks like they're losing the immediate capture on Ymir Biolab. However, they're still capturing, oh my god, 50-50 pop with the Fun Police. Ellie Barracks. So there's 1 NC and there's 1 TR. And there's 3 NC and 1 TR. Oh, it's the one guy who's obviously flown from Ellie Barracks to Ellie Forest Pass. So uncontested captures, pushing it ever closer to 90%. That might push it to 90% if they get those 2 bases. 2 stone has been fully saved. Everett isn't ticking down, although there is numbers there, 1 through 12. The Jaeger's Fist attack didn't go anywhere. I mean, as Connery, what do you do? I mean, if you're cut off not once but twice, because you're cut off at Ellie Barracks and you're cut off at Everett Co. You need 2 full bases. In fact, you can't connect the rest because of the Ellie Amp Station base. So you're never going to be able to reconnect. Yeah, well, we'll check out the Ellie Barracks end of. And is this one here? Yeah, so 1 lightning, Vanu's Sovereignty, Engineer goes in. Oh, he gets the kill! Hero Engineer gets the kill, flips the point against an infiltrator. Right, this one guy from Connery, Engineer, with his lightning that he made it to the base, has saved Ellie Barracks Complex. I got this, bro. I got this. It's just him. Who says one man can't make a difference? What are you going to do now? He's going to go back to his lightning.
Watching this fight at Ymir at the moment, and it looks like Cobalt has a good chance of getting this, because they came in with a lot of maxes, and I think at this point Connery's really hurting for resources. That tank display may have been really pretty, but those tanks are all gone, and what do they have to show for it?
Yep, Biolab's ticking down. I think we'll go check out Ellie Forest Pass next. I mean, the efforts of just one few guys. I think he's got a friend turning up now. Oh, yes, some Galaxy fly-ins kind of being chased by the Air Force. Where's this guy? 10 out of 12 in this Galaxy, half health. Where are you going, sir? This is desperate place to get towards the base center. If they can get in the sphere of influence, it works. Galaxy's down to quarter health with tiny sliver. All the guys are dropping on the ground. So the Cobalt Air Force picks out the Galaxy. Now the guys on the ground are getting attacked by the Reavers. They're close. The problem is they're stuck between Ellie Forest and Bulwark. They can maybe redeploy, but redeploying only allows them to spawn on the bases that they're at. So now they're stuck in the middle of nowhere at Bulwark. They couldn't quite make it to the Biolab in the desperate flight.
Yeah, this Biolab I think is going to go down, because I'm watching really no attempts at flanking.
Oh yeah, and it's 12 seconds, you're right.
Can't let this facility fall to the enemy.
But what's the population numbers though? It's 54%. In a Biolab you'd think maybe they'd be able to hold it, but ultimately couldn't get reinforcements in.
We've got 1 max for maybe about 6 or 7 Cobalt maxes, and there it goes, down goes Ymir.
It's another base, that's up to 89%. Okay, we've still got 13 minutes in this game, guys. Still got 13 minutes. Everett Supply Co is being saved. Ellie Barracks complex is being saved, so it's still being saved, although 2 squads have just been dropped on it. The bulwark is now ticking down, and so is Ymir Southern Reach. These 3 bases will push it up to 90, 91, 2, 93. Now, I think they might get a domination if they get these 3 bases. If it's not these 3 bases, they'll need 2 stone to pull off a domination, because it'll be everything. The problem is not communication is an additional base that's counting towards the total territory that's out of play, so they don't get that. So they realistically need to capture all 3 of these territories, which they can totally do in 13 minutes. And I think not only will this be the most dominating victory in ServerSmash history, it'll also be the first conquest win, i.e. getting enough territory to automatically lock the continent.
That threshold is 95%, correct?
I think 95. I think in the Cobalt it was 94. Because they were 1 base short, and it's hard to say because sometimes when a base flips you get 2 points, sometimes you only get 1 point, so it's to be seen whether or not they can, if you get 2 percentage points for these 3 bases, it will push it over to 95.
I mean, I think there's been one Connery squad here at Bulwark that heroically tried to defend this base, and they just got outpopped, and then looks like air forces from Max just sitting there low-potting the spawn room. I think at least that Cobalt was always famous for, the ability to make you wish that you never stepped outside.
I mean, I could tell you what's happening, guys. I mean, I'll show you in stream probably. I know that for a fact that the Air Force is just throttling all forms of reinforcements. The cut-off territory is hurting Connery extremely poorly. It's very difficult for them to get reinforcements to those cut-off bases. That play to Frostbite into Everett Barracks, Everett Supply Co, with their Air Force domination is working beautifully in their favour, because it's basically warp gating and keeping the Connery forces warp gated. They can't get aside. Oh my god, all of those vehicles. It's a fresh armor push. Alright, they are ticking down with huge population Frostbite Harbour, and with 11 minutes to go, if they get this with the population they've got, sure enough, it won't be warp gated. I think that's or continent locked. I think that's what they're trying to do now. This 1224 Ellie Barracks, they could go Bulwark. Do they need to go Bulwark? Maybe not. Can they go to Ymir Southern Reach? Well, we can see this population at the Biolab perhaps going to go to Ymir Southern Reach. They've still got plenty of time with 11 minutes left in the game. Jaeger's Crossing honestly probably won't be captured, but I suppose fighting there keeps the enemy kind of busy. And we can see reinforcements are spawning now back in for Frostbite Harbour. They've got the capture point back. Oh man. Yep, they got the capture point back. All those vehicles outside aren't really doing anything. I think Connery's just kind of having fun now, realising how badly it is. But the problem is the nature of having fun with all these vehicles and armour outside just for the sake of it is not helping the cause. It's making it significantly worse with the overall population. Now we've breached into 90%. We're 91% with the Forest Heavily Barracks. The Bulwark's about to go through. Right, we'll see how close this goes.
Watched what happened at least with Bulwark, and I want to figure out what was the Connery squad that was over there, because they tried at least. They seem to be the only folks, at least in the Eastern Front, that have.
I haven't seen a defeat this bad since Germany played Brazil.
At least Brazil got a goal.
Oh no, it's 93! It's 2 points per base! As soon as Ymir Southern Reach goes through, assuming it's 95% for a continent lock, in 3 minutes this ServerSmash will end early. The first ever ServerSmash to end by continent lock, if this is how the game works. I've never seen this. I've even seen this on live play. When do you see this? Never. And when in a ServerSmash? It just Cobalt.
This is what happens when you have a really good communicative force. You're not gonna see this kind of play on live. On live, the defenders usually win, but here in ServerSmash, you're gonna have people that are communicating well. And I think the real difference for Cobalt has been just, it's not like they're not making mistakes, but they're using the air really well, and the Connery mistakes, at least in the gambles that the FC has been taking.
It's cool, bro. Connery's going to ask the admins to restart the game, I heard, right? So we'll just start all over again, because now we really know Cobalt's entire game plan.
Get Redolent back here to cast, I'm gonna fall over.
Yeah, good follow. It's been a long day. I mean, apparently it says 1 through 12 VS. Now, I'm one of them, unfortunately, so perhaps I'm skewing the numbers because I'm the observer camera, so people think, oh, I'm the observer camera, I'm making people unable to spawn in. I didn't think about that. Not that they can spawn in anyway. There's one Burster Max and one Infantry guy that's currently at Ymir Southern Reach. They had a little bit more population. I don't know if they've all gone back to the Warp Gate and just resigned themselves to sob and tears. But in 1 minute 40, this could go.
This is the thing that, like, again, I say these small fights matter, and, like, here it is. Like, this is the strangest point hold I've ever seen. It's Spitfire turrets holding the staircase. Only time you'll ever see these ever used.
What's the guy doing? He just repaired the vehicle terminal. Why did he repair the vehicle terminal? What are you going to pull? What are you going to do, VS-190? A harasser. A harasser with a Sauron. And the Max is jumped onto the harasser.
Don't they realize
The abandoned Southern Reach. And now we've got a mobile anti-air. The two defenders have just abandoned that base. They've just abandoned the base. Where are we going?
the two defenders are Spitfire turrets?
No, that's the NC, the VS, the two VS guys. One pulled a harasser after repairing the terminal, the other one's a Burster Max, and now they're in a harasser, just, you know, YOLOing around as some quasi-mobile anti-air. Now we've got some scythes doing some battling over Ymir Southern Reach. I think the Vanu Sovereignty realise what's about to happen, but they've had to fight a running air battle to get here. They're actually got infantry turning up in 33 seconds. Is this the final fight of the continent? The two Spitfire turrets are gone. The Connery, the Cobalt forces, 25 seconds. Is this guy going to move up or what? There's nobody in there, bro. Go.
I think this guy's on a mission.
7 minutes remaining in the match. 7
Knows
minutes
something
remaining
we
in
don't.
the match now.
Oh, this is a mad dash. We're seeing more scythes moving in. I think the Connery force realizes the importance of this base and they're going to try and stop it. Yep. I think it's good. Cobalt's got their air force here as well. Galaxy ramming!
And they've got a bunch of max suits. Think they got it? Yeah, they got it.
So they're here now. They've got population now. Cobalt can dump on this base, and to be honest, you've probably got. Oh, but check this out instead. They're losing Frostbite Harbor, but they will capture Two Stone first with a 96 plus. So it really doesn't. Oh wow, 18 seconds anyway at this base. Even if they lose this base, they'll get Two Stone first, and because they get Two Stone first, it doesn't matter what's going on elsewhere.
I think this is it. 9 seconds.
Oh, the Max is in reinforcement. So the guy behind, is he going to do anything? No, he got Max down. Capture point is being capped back.
7,
is this it?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continent lock.
Oh, that's it! Is that it? It's locked! Wow! Okay, now the warp gates have rotated and everyone's probably being killed, but that's it. The continent is locked. Yes! That's the first time it's ever happened.
Hang on though. Connery is now saying at least that their territorial control is equal, so it might be.
Oh yes, well, so that is a lock. That's 100%. It's domination. I don't know what number you want me to give you there, but they did it. Well done.
I'm going to call it 96%.
Dude, yeah. Well, it's 96% or domination, dude.
Yeah, domination or 99%. Not 100% sure. Would you want the?
I just go with dominating victory. Continent domination. It pretty much speaks for itself. You got 95% or over 95% to win the cont. Wow. Okay, so we ended actually a little bit early there, if somewhat late because of the restart. Mile, if you could go ask the refs to ask the battered and bruised and victorious force commanders to come to the interview channel, we'd love to have a chat with them and see what went so well and what went so badly.
I can get the force commanders and server reps to the interview room, please. Thank you. I've been talking with Anga for this entire time. No. But it looks like most of them are in that channel if y'all want to drop down.
Alright, well, let's go and drop down pizza, and you got any questions you want to ask them, you go right ahead. Hello guys, well, I guess to start off with, congrats to Cobalt for the first ever ServerSmash domination victory.
Yeah, we're going to call it domination, guys.
I don't think people need top permissions in there.
Yeah, you're going to have to get top commissions to a bunch of people.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Before you want to start for the questions, or you want me to?
I guess the first question has got to be the most obvious one that everyone wants to know. What happened, Connery?
So, essentially on the first open, we liked the first look that we got on the open, right? When the match reset, or hadn't been playing it, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it seems like Cobalt threw up an extra chunk of air, and that just kind of wrecked our second open. We decided to stick with the plan from the original and just modify it a bit. And then it became a series of systemic mechanics failures. I'm sure it started showing up on the stream, but you would see when we would go around to different bases, take a look, you would have a bunch of people outside in vehicles, you wouldn't have people stacking going into the point. We were losing 70-30 overpops. At a certain point, it becomes incredibly difficult to win if you're having to overpop 80-20 in some of those fights. The things that Cobalt did great, obviously the air was just brutal and dominating, and they used the 1-2 punch where air would come in, clean people out, and then they'd come in and drop, either with gals or using Sunday chains, or a combination of Sunday chains and beacons. Long conversation we're going to have after this match about just simple mechanics.
We saw that a lot on the stream, where there would be just plays that on the platoon level that didn't really seem to make sense. There was massive amounts of pumps just sitting there idle, and there are two really big things I'd like to ask you about. But why was that play made at Frostfall Overlook, where it cost you guys Terran BL4, but then later on Frostfall just went uncontested? Was that something at least just too many fires to try and fight?
You had too many fires to try and fight. One of the difficult things is, at that point, the idea was in distributing the force structure a bit is that we would,
Jar, I was at BL4 when I went them. I will say this, that when we got there, we attempted a gal drop Bravo point with 3 squads, and no one else was pushing out. I don't know what happened there, but it seemed as if everyone pulled out and gave up on it. We deployed Sunnies at Frostfall to help people push in, and then we responded to Frostfall. Gal dropped in, and then got wiped, and then tried pushing 3 more times to the spawner before we got wiped all 3 times.
Yeah, the problem too is that point in Frostfall, they'd gotten, if I remember right, at that point in the match, Bridge Ward had been capped. So they were doing a very good job of going in and putting pressure on LA Tower and Old Short Checkpoint. So we'd have to go back, put out that fire. Really, the match was over the moment that Watterson's redemption fell. I mean, that's the moment you get pushed that far back, it's over.
So I have a quick question. Sure. Do you have any more? Because I have a quick question, at least for the Cobalt side of things. Because congratulations on the first ever, continent lock in a match. But in the opener, at least, you guys won. Jesus, how many users are getting moved? But what exactly happened with you guys in terms of what bases you prioritized? Because unfortunately, we had the reset due to issues with Church's staff. But you guys really did a great job in terms of making sure you got Isa and Sarah. Was the focus?
Basically, we had focus 4 in the beginning to get Pale Canyon, and unfortunately it dragged on longer than expected. So we decided to change our focus then to the Biolab, get that quickly done, like a position to hold for later on in the match. And then it was just back over to the other side of the map, trying to get Knot and trying to keep 0 contests as long as possible, but trying to get it eventually and just get all the major points. Basically, we were going to leave Isa, but I decided on the day we need to get it. So we took that, and then the day we took most of the important bases, and it really paid off. It really did.
So the flip side of this is a question directed towards Connery. Because it seemed like in the opener, you guys put a really heavy emphasis a lot of times on not amp. So there was times where it was like almost a platoon of forces in the east sitting on not amp that weren't really doing anything. And it happened maybe once or twice and several more times. And when you finally got that base, there wasn't any offensive movement forward. And it seemed like, well, what exactly happened there?
For the not amp cap?
Yeah, around the opener.
Around the opener? The idea with not amp, so the original plan was basically we were going to try a hard switch for Isa at the open if we could get it. We wanted to make sure that we had Pale Canyon, basically all the lattice connections into Watterson's Redemption as a buffer zone, and if we didn't get that, at the very least be able to fall back to those and defend. And the idea was to drive, essentially pop sync the center, so east and western lanes, if needed, in the event of Cero and ISA failing, be able to push the eastern and western lanes and try to get some quick 4-minute caps there, and it just did not work. So that was the original intent. The biolab lane, I just wanted to jam the biolab for as long as possible. The same thing with Cero. You know, you can test one. That's a 20-minute cap if you can test a C point, so you can do that with minimal force.
Okay.
So,
If
yeah,
I may
that
ask
was-
one quick thing, is the Cobalt air lead here? I guess probably not. But
No,
Because I'd love to know how many air Cobalt had. You know, I was wondering if it was.
We had 36 pilots up who were doing air-to-air, and we had another 10 that were focusing on air-to-ground.
Gotcha.
But we didn't. We started with just the 36. We started with the air-to-ground guys in burster maxes, which I think is what hurt your air platoon in the opening.
seemed to be, at least with the Air Forces, that early on, Connery had at least a good job, or at least put up a good fight when they had their forces centralized against the air-to-air folks from Cobalt. But as the match progressed, it steadily pretty much went into Cobalt's favor, because it seemed like the system that you have with dedicated air-to-ground folks and a dedicated air-to-air group, that air group would keep Connery's air pretty much tied up.